All right, looks like we're live. Welcome everybody to the Comics Aficionados. I'm Wes, your host as always. Today we got a great panel for you. We're going to talk Batman. We're going to talk about the current state of Batman. Then we're going to talk about the best stories, the best writers, eras, all that good noise. And then we're going to talk a little Earthworm Jim at the end. So first time on the panel. Well, I want to put this out there first. So Tristan from Nanette's newsstand was supposed to be joining us. We had a scheduling conflict, but unlike the WWE, I reserve the right to rebook talent, at an equivalent level. And today we got Eric Breen replacing their debt. What's going on, man?
How's it going, everybody? It's nice to be here with a bunch of knowledgeable comic people and bats.
I'm sorry, Eric. You're not as attractive. But this is not a good trade.
Well, I told Wes yesterday he exchanged squeaking for shrieking.
Well, there we go. Well, hopefully he'll eat a candy bar wrapper on here later for us.
Okay. All right.
All right. Next is the other new panelist. We got Fiona Wolf, ex-military. Well, she's a military veteran, and today's your birthday. So what are you, like 25?
No. I'm like half in the grave. I'm 36 now.
Oh wow! Well, happy birthday! And welcome to the panel.
Beat. Ouch! I got everybody beat.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're the youngest on the panel right now until Bat shows up.
Who said they've got everybody beat?
Probably me.
Gotta be Pele, right?
Yeah, probably. I just turned 48.
I got you by almost a decade.
There you go.
Ooh. Wow, I'm not the old man of the day. Right.
Yeah, we got to speed this along because I've got pudding at 11:30.
Exactly. So we got boomers, we've got Gen Xers, and we've even got a millennial. Bats, what's going on, man? Uh-oh. Is he slurping?
He ducked out, I think.
No, he's
right there.
Whatever.
Oh, okay.
Bats is with us. He's going to talk massive amounts of crap, and Pele's going to put him in his place.
Oh, I'm not saying anything.
Actually, we're going to send it to Bats first thing anyway. So also on the panel, we got our resident retail expert, Pele. What's going on?
Oh, wonderful. Beautiful day. The birds are singing, I think. And the sun is shining, and I'm here to talk comic books. All right.
Awesome. That's what we're all here for. And finally, my co-host, Doc. What's going on, my man?
Hey, what up, everybody? How you guys doing this morning?
I think we're all doing pretty good. No one doing as well as Fiona Wolf on this beautiful birthday of hers.
Yes. And
happy birthday.
Yes. So much coffee. So much coffee.
I hear she might be going to the Cracker Barrel to celebrate later. So that'll be nice.
We go there every Sunday practically.
Yes. There you go. All right, Bats.
I find that offensive.
You find the Cracker Barrel?
I love Cracker Barrel.
I think it should be People of Whiteness Barrel.
Yes, the People Barrel. All right.
The hash browns are amazing.
Sergeant Bats, you had an interesting week this week. You made a very emotional, heartfelt video on your channel when you were reviewing Bigfoot Bill. And why don't you tell everybody what happens? I don't want you to give all the details of the video because people need to go watch it, but at least, tell them what happened with you and Doug TenNapel.
He retweeted your post and then told people to go to subscribe to my channel, which was cool. I bumped up about 20 something subs past the 300 mark.
Sweet.
And I was stuck at 291 for a couple of weeks, and then but yeah, I have kind of. If you are a believer of God, I connect all the different pieces of my life and how it all kind of connects back to reading this book right here and there into this review. It's pretty neat. And then what made it even more, connecting all the coincidences was the day I released the video happened to be Doug TenNapel's birthday, and I had no idea whatsoever. And it was pretty neat all around. What was quite interesting is as it was uploading, I was thinking about, I was like, this is a a little too personal. Yeah, I might have to review it again, and instead of being 20 minutes, I'm just gonna make it 10 minutes. And then I was just like, didn't do that. I was just like, yeah, whatever. No one watches my channel anyway. So
I watched it. I put that thing out immediately. It was a great video, and I made sure to tag Doug. I was like, this dude's gonna love this. It's a very heartwarming tale of how comic books touched your life and helped you through a very difficult point in your life. And Doug Tenaple was a huge part of that. So it was awesome.
Yeah.
I believe he also talked about you on his live stream.
he did, he did.
So that was awesome. All right. So I don't know if people have been on Twitter. There's an enormous war going on right now. It's basically consuming comics Twitter. It's the gummies versus the milkies. It's Candygate. Fiona Wolf, we haven't heard from you. Where do you side on this? Where are you on Candygate? Are you a gummy? Are you a milky? Are you a jujube?
I'm a glutton, so I'll eat all of them.
You're not picking a side?
I don't know. Let's
Oh
see.
my-
If I had ultimately had to pick a side note, I'd probably be like, yeah, I like milk chocolate, and I'd probably edge out everything.
Oh, hell yes. Oh,
Jesus.
milk chocolate.
I'm a fat kid. I'm definitely going with the chocolate. Come on, this isn't hard.
How does my panel keep ending up with all these chocolate heads and I got no gummies to side with me here? It's
Well,
I
it's
feel like
because you
I'm on
left
an
Ash
island.
off. Because
I mean,
Ash isn't here.
Jesus, just the other day I saw some kid talking smack on his grandma because she has butterscotch like little candies in her house. It's like, what is going on here?
Those are amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
Candygate
Those
is
are the-
destroying the
those are
community.
strawberries.
All right, in all seriousness, Candygate's real. If you follow Breen and Ash and Sergeant Bats and myself, we've been talking about it for weeks. But we're here to talk comic books. We're here to talk Batman. So I'm going to go through each one of my panel guests, just get their initial thoughts on the current state of Batman, their feelings about Batman, then we're going to get into it more in depth. Doc, what are your thoughts on Batman right now and, what he means to the comic book industry?
I mean, he's still the number 2 character in comics behind Spider-Man. I mean, he is the number 2 merchandise, movie franchise, and he should be right there. He should be slightly above Spider-Man when it comes to selling books, and he's kind of not. I mean, he's one of the few characters that can hold numerous books a month. You get Spider-Man, Superman, and Batman. That's about it that can carry 2 or 3 titles a month. And right now, he's got there's basically 3 ongoing-ish Batman books with Batman and the Outsiders, Detective Comics, and Batman. Batman is falling apart. I mean, everybody pretty much, there's basically a countdown to Jesus Christ, will Tom King leave sooner? People are pretty happy with Detective Comics. I guess Tomasi's doing pretty well. And I personally love Batman and the Outsiders. So, and I think that if there's going to be anybody that's already working on a Bat book to go to take over Batman, I think it should be Brian Hill.
Yeah, unfortunately, I guess is he staying firm on his belief that this is, or his position?
Oh, no.
His last year in comics.
No. He's reevaluated that already. I guess. I mean, he was talking about that a little while ago, mostly because I think he just didn't want to be in that kind of general comic shit show. And I think he's kind of realized that he has his own kind of following base that's he doesn't really have to play the stupid games. He doesn't have to, do Comicsgate crap. He doesn't have to ignore us. He doesn't have to insult us. He just has to go and write books. And I think he realized that, and he's like, you know what? I'm having fun right now.
Mhm.
And as long, I think he's one of those guys that as long as he keeps having fun writing comics, he's going to keep writing comics. And I think he's having fun right now. You know, just there's a handful of creators out there that look like they're just having fun at the moment, and he's one of them. Him, Blake, Northcott, Sean Murphy, you know, a couple more. They're just there to have fun. So, and I think he's having fun, and because he's still doing Titans, and I think it might have to do with I don't think he wants to spend as much time on, you know, as long as he doesn't have to spend a bunch of time playing bullshit comic industry politics, he's fine. And
Yeah,
I think he'll stick around.
He's been great. He actually has a lot of good books out right now. If you're not reading Angel, it's really good. You don't even need to like the series, but I agree with you on Hill. He's excellent, and hopefully he does stick around because he's definitely one of my favorite writers. All right, Breen, what are your thoughts on the Batman right now and what he means to the comic industry?
Well, he's always going to be as important to the industry as any other character, but you know, as far as like right now, you know, my problem with Batman is obviously you know, Tom King has, you know, done a crap ton of damage to him, but you know, DC, you've got, you know, that Batman, you've got a totally different Batman detective, you've got a totally different Batman in Outsiders, you've got him in the Justice League, you've got him laughing, you've got him, you know, whining, you know, over in King's book. It's like, you know, I guess one way to look at it is if you don't like one Batman, you've got a million other chances to find a Batman you'll like. But I've been reading this stuff for 45 years, and I can remember when all the Bat books actually sort of fit together, and they don't even try to do that anymore. And that's kind of my beef with it. And I know comics have changed, but I miss continuity.
I'm with you.
Same here.
So right now, Bendis is writing Event Leviathan, which I thought was a Superman book, but it's not. It's a Batman book. And the continuity is someone asked Batman where he's been, and he says, I was busy. Like,
I was
okay.
under a rock. I was under a rock. Oh my god, in a multiverse under a rock. Yeah.
I was occupied.
Catwoman.
Okay.
Oh, Selena. Oh.
So yeah, it was pathetic. I was like, that's
Where's
continuity.
my girl? Oh,
What connective tissue? All right. Pele wants to chime in. What are your thoughts on the current state of Batman and what he means to the industry?
Oh God. Just you know, next time just use Astroglide. That's all I ask DC. I mean, it's a complete screwing, and I think everybody knows my feelings about the current Bat title. I mean, we went from selling 120 copies an issue down to the 50s now, the high 50s, and it's a garbage fire. I mean, you know, there's no other way to put it. And first time in history that, you know, that we've dropped that low, and people drop it. More new people drop it every week. So I'm kind of wondering how far it's going to go by the time he leaves, by the time King leaves. So, you know, I pray for the days of Snyder and Capullo again. You know, it's just back. I mean, there's never a stronger time in my memory of Batman, never a stronger time as far as subscriptions and readership than, with maybe one exception, than the Capullo and Snyder era. And it was amazing. It was a really fun read. Maybe might argue that Grant Morrison's run perhaps was a better seller, but I don't know. It's probably neck and neck. But yeah, I mean, it's dismal. It's dismal and bleak right now, and even Tomasi, you know, is being impacted by it. You know, he's usually more upbeat style is being drugged down by King's tyrannical hold and far as Batman's editorial, and I think that it's causing permanent damage to the franchise within DC Comics, and it's going to take years to rebuild all that trust back that was earned before the Rebirth launch. So I don't know. It's just a really shitty thing that they've done, and whoever made this decision at DC and who held their nose and barreled forward when all the retailers and all the critics, well, all the sane critics were telling them that this is a bad idea. This is not good. You don't do this, but they just kept going anyway. And, it's sad. It's really, really sad. But anyway, yeah.
All right. Let's see if we can get more upbeat. Fiona Wolf, what's your your thoughts on Batman?
Yes.
The current state of Batman, his role in the comics universe.
Honestly, I think he still has a lot of pull to him, just because even though I'm kind of a normie when it comes to Batman, the animated series and all that stuff, the closest thing, again, at least there's that, no man's land stuff where I think that's where they, honestly, yeah, I can see why people love Dixon's stuff for him. And I love Dixon's books. He's a good writer in both terms. So I would say, yeah, so far that's been my favorite. And then as far as worst, well, that's easy. It's like, oh, it's Tom King.
Mm-hmm.
What did they feed him in the CIA? I mean, I'm Navy, and I find
Milky
it
Way.
quite sad. Yeah, it's like if you put him on a firing range, will he yelp every time any of the weapon systems go off? It's
Maybe.
like, God.
He's
God.
Well, he was an analyst, wasn't he? So he's probably never even seen any form of
So
combat
why would
action.
he even have this whole post-traumatic stress disorder, the book versus Vision versus Mr. Miracle versus Batman? Because it's just the same thing with slightly different paint.
All right, guys. Your boy here was an analyst as well in Afghanistan. You get shot at just as much as the guys with guns. Trust me.
Yeah,
I was
just
an
gonna ask you
engineer,
that.
so I was an engineer. So I just,
No, it's just that, honestly, I've my brother's Army Ranger, so I have that to compare to.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom King's not doing too good.
He's
like, oh God.
definitely in a dark place creatively.
I just
It's
don't
like
understand.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're not supposed to use comic books to do therapy. That's what some book writers do, like Laurel K. Hamilton's train wreck that is Anita
God.
Blake.
Oh my God! Don't even go there. Don't even. I read that until I got to like book 9, and I was like, "What the hell is this? What is she doing?" And then she turned into this weirdo freak nymphomaniac that was like banging everything that moved. I'm like, no, that's not no.
And he's doing the same thing to Batman, because I have what good Batman is with the animated series and this No Man's Land stuff. And even though I'm a noob at it, I can even tell like that's like leaps and bounds better than what King has ever done in his heyday.
Yeah, he started out with a lot of promise, but it definitely hasn't gone very well for him. All right, Bats, you're the last one up. What are your thoughts on the current state of Batman and his place in the DC Comics universe?
Man, that's a deep question for me. I think Tom King's kind of did what he wanted to do, and he broke him. I always felt like Batman was bendable in every way, shape, or form. And the only way he can't be bent is by making him emasculated, where all he does is complain about a girl leaving him. It doesn't make much sense to a character, because to me, like, Batman is a guy who builds jets and like muscle cars in a cave with the old man, and then can lift like 500 pounds over his head, and like really into science, and like he's really into being the best at everything. He's kind of that kind of person, at least how I perceive him. And I guess like his new goal in life is to be the best loser.
Mhm.
And where he's just
That's
like
crybaby.
yeah, he's the best crybaby. He's the best whiny. He's like, no one's gonna whine more than me. I'm gonna whine the most, and I'm gonna punch people. I'm gonna punch my best friend and my adopted children in the face. Like, no, dude, stop it. Get out of here with that nonsense. But as the whole state of the company, like Tom King's Batman has kind of affected my entire pool, where kind of how Doc has it, where if he can't have the X-Men, he can't have anything else. I kind of took up that philosophy, where if I don't get good Batman, there's nothing. Batman is my cornerstone to my comic book collecting. So I'm not going to have any DC if Batman does it. And, you know, as much as I think Tomasi is good, I think Tomasi's a great wingman, not where, like, if you look at Tomasi with Jeff Johns, his GLC stuff is a really good companion to Johns's Green Lantern. And so I think if they had Tomasi on Detective while having a great writer running Batman, just like when they had Batman and Robin running with Tomasi and Scott Snyder running Batman, it was doing really fine. And so Tomasi just doing these like short arcs is fine, but they're not going to hold much weight later on. Like you know, like Pele was saying with the Scott Snyder run, I always, after people go, oh man, the Scott Snyder run's really good, I'm like, oh, you should go read Batman and Robin. They're like, well, I don't like Damian Wayne. Well, that actually helps you like Damian Wayne. And it's a good companion to the Scott Snyder run. So, and I've already read Batman and the Outsiders from God knows how long, and it was drawn by Jim Aparo. So Dexter Soy means nothing to me.
Oh, that's not cool. Dexter Soy is one of the best artists in the entire industry, and he's a native Filipino.
Oh, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't really care for his art. I thought it worked really well for Red Hood and the Outlaws, but didn't work for me for Batman and the Outsiders. I feel like they're like, oh, you drew Outsiders before, or Outlaws, so you can draw the Outsiders. And I was like, yeah. So I don't think Batman needs a team book right now because he's already on a team. It's kind of weird because when Batman and the Outsiders was happening, like the cover is him saying, I don't need your 2-bit Justice League. And so now we have Batman in Justice League, we have Batman and the Outsiders. And like Breen was saying, it's kind of just like pick your Batman. And it's like Batman should be bendable to be put into different books, but also they should reference one another instead of just like Event Leviathan, you were saying, where it's just like, oh, I was busy. Like, all right. There's no editorial, and that's a big problem. Is you got Jamie S. Rich editing pretty much all the big titles at DC, and you can't do a No Man's Land or anything like that, or a Nightfall, where everything's cohesive. And if the idea that someone's first comic can be any given comic is out the window. It's like if you were to like pick up Batman 68, you're like, why is Lois Lane and Catwoman going to the Fortress of Solitude and like having Superman strippers? You know, like what the hell is going on? And it's like and the whole Tom King run after the night, was it Jokes and Riddles? Everything after that, nothing matters, nothing makes sense.
Well, it falls in line with the SJW narrative that, you know, relationships, that they need to destroy relationships. You know, you can't have a loving, decent relationship between a man and a woman in a comic book. No, it's got to be, there's got to be, there's got to be cheating. There's got to be, all this friction. There's got to be all this other kind of stuff as far as personalities and, and it's got to be, they can't just have people in relationships. So it's just, yeah, that's a good point. What would be somebody's, reaction if they read Batman 68 was their first Batman title, and then they'd come away from it like, well, this is shit. I'm not going to bother with Batman anymore. That's
one of the points I made on my recent Event Leviathan was that any new reader that picked up Superman, Event Leviathan, or Batman right now would immediately stop reading comic books because they're all garbage. But so Batman under King has been terrible, but the last 4 pages of the most recent Batman were actually good. Have you read it yet, Pele?
No, I haven't read it. No.
I read it.
I've not read it.
I know Bats has read it. Are you convinced? Do you believe that this is him turning Batman back into Batman so he can stand up for himself and go challenge Bane and become a man again? That's what it felt like he was trying to do.
No, I don't think Tom King has the ability to turn it around and like kind of give us that final act of like suspense and excitement, and then when he leaves, you're like, oh, like, and then it makes you want to go reread his 86 comic book run. Like, to this day I will say, everything up to Jokes and Riddles was entertaining, and then it starts to fall apart at Jokes and Riddles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot to do with like inside baseball of DC Comics with Jeff Johns leaving and Dan Dio taking over, and with I think a lot of things that were probably not approved. Like Tom King has said in interviews, he's like, oh, I can't believe this got approved. Well, if you believe that, well, then maybe you shouldn't be doing that. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. They're like, oh, they approved that I can tell a story where Batman's a child molester, and now we can deconstruct Dick Grayson even more. And it's like, no, that's not something you should do just because it got approved. And not saying that's what they've done, but it's almost like anything's possible now when we've gone this far, where we have a giant naked man fighting an old Thomas Wayne for no reason whatsoever other than to have a conversation. Like, it doesn't make any sense that like 2 men would just be like in their underwear and nothing at all, wrestling each other while talking about another man. That just doesn't make any sense to me.
And the bad thing is that was the step up from the previous issue.
Maybe Tom King's just, you know what? Never mind. That's a good way to get your.
I did have a funny conversation with Ash at one point. Is it gonna be like Fight Club where he's fighting himself in his own head? Is that what Tom King's
that's
going
exactly
for?
what's happening. But
yeah,
Stop punching yourself. Stop punching yourself.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And Chuck Palahniuk is a degenerate, and so I wouldn't surprise me if Tom King tells some degenerate story at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So we all have very low expectations for City of Bane. DC's basically been hyping this story up for like a year. I wouldn't suggest reading it. If it ends up being good, you can watch it on the channel. I'll let you know if he turns around. I don't expect it'll happen. But let's talk about better things. So, Doc, if somebody came up to you and said, "Man, I just want to read some good Batman. What's the writer I should be looking for? Who's your definitive Batman writer?"
Definitive. Oh, wow. Oh, I'd have to. You know what? I might have to say. I'd have to say it's probably Frank Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
All right.
That's different.
Back it up, man.
Actually, no. Hold on.
You already said Frank Miller.
It's Paul
Yeah,
Dini.
he was possessed by Ash for a second.
Okay.
It's Paul Dini.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, why is that? What are the issues they should check out? What's his best story?
He did a run on. Oh Jesus, I'm trying to remember when it was. It was in the.
He worked on Detective and
Detective in around with
Morrison's era.
Yeah, I think it was before that. He did a run before that too. I honestly don't remember what issues it was.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, I can kind of see where you're coming from there. There was a lot of character building, as far as rebuilding during that time. But
well, my big reason for going with Dini is because of how much of the DC animated universe he has, his hand in. I mean, he's the one that made,
Harley Quinn.
Well, yeah, Harley Quinn. He made, Batman the Animated Series. He made essentially the rest of the Bruce Timm verse.
Okay.
Everybody looks at it and thinks just Bruce Timm, but Paul Dini was literally there the entire time.
He's the lead writer, yeah.
Yeah. And basically kind of the co-architect for the entire animated universe that they did for from the 90s until just a couple of years ago when they kind of abandoned that Bruce Timm style. And then the fact that he transitioned over to the comics and did a couple of decent runs on Detective. For some reason, I think he did Batman back in the early 2000s, pre-Morrison, when Morrison was still over at Marvel. I could be entirely wrong about that part, though.
Well, his run is in the 800s. I'm looking at it here. It says 840 to 45, and then the Heart of Hush storyline 46 to 50, and then he did those follow-ups to Hush with 852 with the Hush Money storyline, and it looks like he did some Batman Streets of Gotham as well. He also did Gotham City Sirens. Yeah. He definitely had some really good runs in that era.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, you guys can move on from me.
You don't hold it against him that he created Harley Quinn, who's basically the most OP, dumb character in DC Comics now, or maybe all comics.
I don't. Well, no, that goes to Gwenpool. Yeah, no. Honestly, you know what? Because for a very, very, very long time, Harley was just Harley. She wasn't the. Yeah, as much as I love, and as much as slutty goth, Barbie hooker cheerleader hits all of my kinks. I don't need it as Harley. That's great for Lollipop Chainsaw, but not not Harley. And they kind of made it so real Harley, in the Jester's costume Harley. I love that Harley. I don't, the one that's kind of crazy, that's not really a hero.
The one that can't defeat the Trinity,
yeah, exactly. The one that just runs around with a giant fucking mallet and two hyenas. That's real Harley. So yeah, that's that I like. I mean, hell, Mad Love was a great story. And same with yeah, I mean, that's I like that Harley. I don't like modern Harley.
All right, yeah, we can't hold that against Denny. He's not the one that did that. Just because someone ruined his creation isn't his fault.
Well, I think the whole company and the fandom ruined Harley, because a lot of people talk about how smart cosplayers, especially. I I've been in several arguments with people online where they're like, she's extraordinarily smart. She's a psychologist. She has a PhD. But if you go read the Mad Love story by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, that's in the Batman animated series universe, it implies, in a kid's comic, that she cheated her way through school by fucking the teachers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense because she's a blonde bimbo who's all perky and sweet and cute. And like, just like, and that's like, if Paul Dini, the creator, put this in the book, this is definitive right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to say shout out Chase from Gateway into Comics is here. A great guy who was on the channel a couple weeks ago. Thanks for joining us. All right, Fiona Wolf, who's your favorite Batman writer?
Well, so far, I'd have to say Chuck Dixon. Because I guess it's a good thing I asked for recommendations. Yeah, I guess asking for recommendations really helped in that regard because it gives me a good purview of the character, even though Superman's my main guy, but it gives me a good understanding of the character even as a newbie.
So you cheated on Superman with Batman?
Slightly, but
what a slut.
Why not? Bendis is.
Yeah, Bendis is driving everybody away. I don't like Soy of Steel. I'm sorry. Because when I was a kid, I fell in love with the version of Superman that I don't see Golden Age Superman as a bad person to Lois. He had to pull out all the stops to keep tricking her to prevent her from finding out. And I look at it like through the lens of like how people felt back then. Lois was a firecracker for that time period. And they've always been a team. So, Bendis destroyed my team, yo.
Mm-hmm. All right, though. Chuck Dixon's is a good place to start with Batman. What stories have you read so far? What was your favorite one?
I'd have to say the prelude to for No Man's Land. I think I liked it even better than even the first volume of it because it really is showcasing like how things get affected on the ground level all the way through up the whole community, whether it's the villains or the heroes. Poor Soups isn't there to rescue everybody because, it's Batman show. That's what also I think some writers have forgotten. It's like, make sure the person that the comic is for is the star of their own comic.
Absolutely.
But you're telling me Catwoman can't save Batman who's knocked out in his own comic?
If honestly, I rather have it more be like a battle couple because Lois and Clark have saved each other multiple times, and with the Bat family, it looks like they've saved each other's butts multiple times too. It has to be more like teamwork, not like so uneven to where it's like unrealistic in terms
making Batman look incompetent so you can raise her up as like the
deconstructing one person to uplift the other person because that one has ovaries. It's like no, real men and women are a team.
Yeah, that's what they. Well, we're not talking about Superman. That's what Bendis is doing right now. Superman can't make a decision if Lois is in the room.
And it's based on the good representation I've seen in No Man's Land, it's like all these characters are capable of making decisions on their own, but they also work as a team. So,
all right. So we got one vote for Paul Dini. We got a vote for Chuck Dixon. All right, Breen, are you eating a candy bar with a wrapper on?
Yeah, just finished it. Thanks.
All right. What's your favorite Batman writer?
All right, I've got two.
He's a waffler.
I'm going to show my age here. No, it says
I'm teasing.
I go with Denny O'Neil.
Nice.
Because
that's 70s, right?
Yeah, early 70s. Because people forget, all the stories in the 60s with Batman, especially when the TV show took off, everything was pure camp. And then once that wore off, Batman was just kind of floundering. O'Neil, I believe, came over from Charlton and, kind of redefined him, kind of made him a detective again, kind of made him somebody to be feared again. And most importantly, he did the original Ra's al Ghul story that I think started in Batman 232 and then had a 2-issue follow-up in 242 and 3. And their fight in the desert was, magnificent. Adams did the art, and Batman's got a great rogues gallery, but Ra's al Ghul is sort of like, it was the most human, and it was kind of like, this was somebody that could actually be not only Batman's intellectual equal, but superior, and he was immortal. And that fight in the desert, where basically, when he wins, and in effect wins Talia, but of course he's not gonna take her, but it just made Batman, without O'Neill, I don't know if anybody comes up with the ideas, going forward that made him what he is today. And my second one, and this is just a story arc, but Steve Englehart took over Detective Comics in 1977. He was basically only on it for about 6 or 7 issues. But if you ever get a chance to read those, in just that time, he brought in Hugo Strange, Boss Thorne, Batman, or Bruce Wayne met Silver St. Cloud, fell in love with her, and she found out who he was and couldn't deal with it and left him. And he didn't fall to pieces and beat up a bathroom. And the 2-part Joker story where he uses his toxins on all the fish in Gotham was just, I said, it was fantastic. I said, anybody hasn't read that, they owe it to themselves to go find those issues and read them, because it's as good as anything anybody's ever done.
Awesome. So we got Paul Dini, we got Chuck Dixon, we got Denny O'Neill, and Steve Englehart.
Englehart.
All right, Pele. You're almost as old as Breen. What are you bringing? You bringing us anything from the 80s?
No, not really. I'm one of those people that's torn. Probably seminal. I would say seminal Batman would be either John's or John Snyder. Yeah, John's or Snyder. Snyder's one of those that I didn't really like it as much the first time I read it, and then I went back and I reread when New 52 started out in the Court of Owls, and I went back and reread the whole thing, and as a graphic novel instead of one by one in the floppies, and by the end of it I was just like, wow, just looking at all how intricate the plot was, but at the same time it was very digestible, and I could hand this to somebody and say, okay, you've never read Batman in a comic before, you're familiar with Batman, but you've not read the comic before, here, read this. And I could just hand them the New 52 graphic novel omnibus, and say, here, read Batman. And by the end of it they're like going, you got more? If you got more, can I please have some more? And so I that's where I would probably go, is that time period in Batman is where I could point to somebody and say, here, this is what you need to do, get you started, and you're going to love Batman forever. Not the movie, of course, but you're going to love Batman for all time. And not that horrible piece of shit. Oh,
was that the one with
a really good movie?
Bat Nipples.
Mr.
Bat
Freeze?
Nipples.
Yeah, the Clunes was not on his A game in that movie.
Well, because that's because it was Val Kilmer, Wes.
Well,
Oh, the other one.
that is Batman and Robin. Whatever. They both suck.
You think, yeah.
Batman Forever is the one with the Riddler. Okay.
Yeah.
Whatever. Kiss from a Rose. I got it.
But anyway, yeah, that's probably what I would point to. I mean, I really, there's so many different writers that I greatly enjoyed their time when they wrote Batman, and of course there's, some of the panelists and I will not agree, but there's also Miller Batman, which I dearly love for what it is. Dark Knight Returns was what brought me to Batman in the first place. I didn't read very much Batman at the time. I think I was 17 when it came out, 16 or 17. And I wasn't a big Batman fan at the time. And then I read Dark Dark Knight Returns, like, wow, Batman kicks Superman's ass, you know, and
He
that
followed
kind of
up
got
with
me.
Batman Year One, correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it was just like bam, bam, you know, that 1-2 punch. And I was like, wow, you know, it's another one of those wow moments in Batman. But yeah, it's you know, as far as art is concerned, Capullo. They just need to put Capullo on Batman and just say you are the artist for Batman going forward. And here's a big, huge truckload of money. We're going to just dump it in your living room, and you just draw Batman until we say you quit.
Until you die.
Yeah, just do Batman until you can't draw anymore. Here,
Chain him up in the basement.
Yeah,
right,
yeah. It's kind of like the way Van Sciver would be for Green Lantern. You know, just don't let Van Sciver leave. Just chain him up to the base and somewhere and say, "Hey, draw Green Lantern until you die."
So before we move on to bats, I do want to point out with Breen, it's funny that Steve Englehart in 6 issues like introduced new characters and created stuff, and Tom King hasn't introduced anything new in 50. Well, I guess it's 75 issues now. He hasn't created anything new. He's just trying to recreate everyone else's stories.
Hey, so Gotham Girl is a really important character to Batman's Rogues Gallery.
Hey, yeah, whatever, man. All right, so before we get to bats, because I know he's got a lot to say, I'm going to say, I'll go off a little bit off the beaten path and say Jeff Loeb. I think Long Kiss Goodnight, or not Long Kiss Goodnight, The Long Halloween. Long Kiss Goodnight is a good movie. And Hush are both excellent. The only problem I had with Hush is I didn't think the reveal made any sense, but otherwise it's a great book, and they're both classics. Bats, who's your definitive writer for Batman?
Definitive?
Or favorite, whatever.
My favorite will always be Chuck Dixon. He's just got so much good work. But I feel like Chuck is kind of more like, you set your mind on, I'm going to read Batman, and I'm going to keep reading Batman. Where I think there's a lot of good writers. You mentioned Jeff Loeb, Scott Snyder, Pele mentioned, I think Frank Miller, all those kind of are what I call Batman starter packs. Where for me, like when I'm at the comic shop and someone comes in and they're kind of like, what's a good Batman book should I read? And I just tell them, go read Hush. It's kind of that, like, you're familiar with the character, and then it kind of teaches you more about Batman in depth, his allies, his rogues, and his world. And it's like kind of like a perfect book for newbies and normies to the character. Mm-hmm. If you're, a high school edgelord, I think Frank Miller really works really well for that. Like Pele was saying, he read it when he was 16, 17 years old. I came in around, when I read it, I was like 12, but my introduction to the character was Adam West. So I kind of had this little more camp to it. And so watching Batman mud wrestle and like fight a guy by plugging into a lamppost was just not my jam. I'm sorry, he beat Superman by plugging into a lamppost. I'll never understand that.
It's not really true, but go ahead.
But yeah, definitively, like for me, like the best Batman writer, hands down, is Chuck Dixon. And I think one of his best stories is just like I think it's a straight to graphic novel. It's called Devil's Advocate, where Joker gets framed for mass murdering people with stamps. But Batman, the detective he is, knows that it's not Joker. A bunch of people lick a bunch of stamps and they get Jokerized. And so Batman did some tests. And it's not Joker's formula. It's very close, but it's off by like science. It's off. I don't know chemistry. It's off by one component. And so Batman's on the case on trying to figure out who the true murderer is. And it just really like solidifies who Batman is, who the Joker is, who Tim Drake is, who Barbara Gordon is, who Jim Gordon, because Jim Gordon was kind of like Well, if you believe that he's innocent, by all means, but remember, he's already murdered millions of people already. So here's our chance to just throw the book at him and call it a day. And Batman didn't want Joker's execution on his hands if he could stop it. And it's like, really shows the struggle of Bruce. So yeah, Chuck Dixon just kind of like he's the perfect Batman writer, where everyone else had really important parts. Chuck's the guy who takes all the important parts and like uses it and makes the perfect cake with it all. So Chuck Dixon. And Wes is gone. Doc, you're in charge.
All right. Who have we not gotten to yet? Fiona. I mean, well, yeah. I mean,
no, that was the last one.
Okay. Well, where the hell did I don't know what the hell we're doing now.
Well, all right, we gotta. I don't know where he was planning on going next. But,
yeah, that's
say
why.
that you've got one of the points that I wanted to make here real quick was that if you go by what as far as sales go of what people, which I kind of track sales according to favorability in some regards as far as back issues are concerned, and certain runs really stand out to me as far as where Batman's legacy kind of lies like that. And there's certain books that no matter what happens, they will always sell, and they will sell it almost as soon as I get them in. And one of those is the of course the Frank Miller time, Dark Knight Returns, stuff like that. I can't keep Dark Knight Returns in stock, but the Grant Morrison run, that 666, 667, that in that range, I never can keep those in stock. They're just like, bam, they're gone. And, it's always just so amazing to see. I used to do packages of just the Grant Morrison run in Batman, and I would sell them all as a near mint run like that. And ungodly expensive. You could imagine, that many comics, and then, considering how much they've gone up in value and everything. And gone within 48 hours, 72 hours, just gone. So I guess there's a lot to be said there too about the Grant Morrison run. Snyder's the same way, they sell extremely fast. All of the Neil Adams covers from the 1970s, the late 60s, early 70s, that
book
time.
Writers.
I'm sorry? What was some book writers? What are we talking about?
I think she might have just accidentally caught some.
Oh, okay. But yeah, those always anything with the Neil Adams covers from the early 70s, are just gold. And but yeah, I mean, sales wise, I don't think the King's books will always be quarter bin if I can sell them at all. So, I don't think
unless
that
he can pull it off at the end.
I don't see how. There's such a bad taste in my mouth. It's kind of like, how much money would it take, to wash, how much, what kind of ending would it take? How much money would it take to wash the taste out of a person's mouth, after they've, been forced to give a hobo a blowjob? There's not enough money in the world to make that taste any better. And that's pretty much what, the Batman run has been, from King, is like you're being forced to give a hobo a blowjob. It's disgusting. It's nasty. And, you'll always have that horrible memory with you for the rest of your life. So,
Actually,
yeah.
it's like giving Florida Man a tour of DC Universe.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Anyway, you go ahead. Go ahead. This is your show, man. Go ahead and take off.
My show. Okay. So what does everyone think about Neil Adams and Batman? I know he's got a Ra's al Ghul miniseries coming up. Are you excited about it, Bats?
Ooh.
His Twitter doesn't help me want to buy that. For some reason, he thinks someone I voted for is all sorts of things that he's not. But I try to separate the art from the artist, and Neil Adams is definitely, to me, the definitive Batman artist, but I don't think by any means has the writing abilities to write Batman. I've read some of his Dead Man, and I thought that didn't make any cohesive sense.
Are you talking about the recent miniseries he had?
Yeah.
That was like literary nonsense. It was like gibberish.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was so bad. So bad.
I know he did that Batman Odyssey, but the fact that it was written by him really is the reason I've never read it. I've looked at it and go, oh, these are cool pictures. These are really good. But it really needed a guy named Denny O'Neil attached to it for me to really be like, oh, this is going to be awesome. Same with his Superman Odyssey. I flipped through it and been like, oh, this looks great, but it's written by him. If you really want to know Neil Adams' writing abilities, his best written story is Skate Man.
Skate Man.
Skate Man. It's exactly what you think it is.
It's a guy on skates?
It's a guy on skates. What I found in a 50-cent bin and paid Neil Adams $40 to sign.
Nice.
Oh,
so it's worth $40.50.
Oh boy.
So Breen, are you more enthused about the Ra's al Ghul miniseries from Neil Adams?
Let me start by giving Bats credit for stumbling onto a good point. He must have stuck in a Milky Way. Neil Adams can't write. I mean, he's a phenomenal artist, but if they were going to do a Ra's al Ghul miniseries, last I checked, Denny O'Neil is still above ground. It would have been a perfect opportunity to put the band back together one more time and actually do something that fans could get excited about. Because, as I said, Bats is absolutely right about Odyssey. It's he's not a good writer, never has been. And just because you can draw doesn't mean you can write. I mean, he's creative storytelling, yes, but he needs somebody to basically put the words in the mouths of the characters for him, because he's never been good at that. So I don't even know that I'll check it out.
All right. So I was on the fence. I'm feeling pretty not good about it. What do you say, Pele?
How many cross, platform type content creators are there out there in comics? I mean, people that can write and draw, really, really well. I mean, we got Zdarsky. Zdarsky's good at both. He can do a book all by himself.
Todd McFarlane,
Dan Jurgens,
Miller when he was on point.
Matt Wagner. Matt Wagner.
Matt Wagner. Yeah. Gosh, I was just rereading Mage. I was rereading
Daniel,
Mage again.
David Finch.
John Byrne.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, does Scottish Miller draw any of his own stuff? That's how I'm separating them now. There's Hat Miller and then there's Scottish Miller. So I don't get them confused again.
Millar can't draw.
Millar. Yeah, Millar.
His name is Miller, but everyone calls him
around
Millar.
with a pen. Yeah,
I saw some
around with a pen, but he's not really, what I'd call a dedicated artist.
I saw Seeley's art recently, and it wasn't impressive. That's worse than your writing, dude. That's kind of ain't good.
Oh, that's an insult.
All right, so we're a little bit down on the Ra's al Ghul miniseries. Let's move it along to something more interesting. So Fiona Wolf, Batman has a large cast of characters that he's rolled out. Nightwing, you got Alfred, you got Gordon. Who's your favorite, ancillary associated Batman character?
I'd have to say Cassandra Cain, Dixon's Batgirl run for her, because you have to kind of rely on the art and a little bit of the storytelling to get her point across initially. And I like that one story. She tried to rescue this poor guy, and that's what galvanizes her to learn how to read or talk to people properly.
Mm-hmm. All right. So you're saying Cassandra Cain. Pele, what's your favorite, like, kind of Batman associated character? He's got so many of them.
Villain or hero?
Either one.
Probably Joker. Yeah, probably Joker. I almost said Bane, but yeah, I'll definitely go with Joker. It's just this too iconic, too many memories of reading Batman and Joker comics over the years. But we'll say Dick Grayson also as an honorable mention, because he's always such a good foil to Batman. You know, he'll always be in my opinion, always be the definitive Robin.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
So with Joker, I recently ordered the Brian Azzarello Lee Bermejo story. I took a flyer on it without really knowing much. Did I make a good choice? Is that a good Joker story?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's a solid decision. I mean, it's not Killing Joke, but you know, what is Killing Joke? What compares to Killing Joke, in my opinion. So
if you were going to introduce someone into the Joker character, that's where you would start with him.
Killing Joke, yeah, I would.
What about the
start with
cartoon?
Killing Joke. Oh, that if it's a child, yeah, the Batman Adventures.
No, I'm talking about the Killing Joke animated movie they just made.
Oh, yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's. I think it is. Some people have kind of crapped on it. You know, they weren't really happy with some of the.
I think there was a rooftop sex scene.
Yeah, some of the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you really can. You can kind of skip, like, you know, the first 30 minutes at least. But it's not horrible. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of the more vociferous critics out there want to say it is. It's kind of like, you know, the people that are really critical of The Watchmen. I mean, like, what did you read? Did you actually read The Watchmen? You know, because that's exactly what The Watchmen was like in the books. You know, and I think that a lot of that too is with some exceptions. You know, I think just to kind of, you know, make it more adult. The Killing Joke animated movie was, you know, pretty much the book. So,
All right. So I want to say, shout out to Tevye Smoka, another YouTuber himself. We got Fun Safu in the chats. Ash on Comics is joining us. He's normally on the panel. Thank you very much, sir.
Ooh.
Dave Ass Sandwich is with us. Great guy. FF2.
That's his actual name. So.
I'm pretty sure it's Ass Sandwich. Is that correct, Breen?
If you say so.
All right, there we go. It's correct. All right, Nash on Comics is saying his favorite is Alfred. And
okay.
All right, who's next? Bats, who's your favorite and ancillary Batman character?
Can I say Gotham City? Does that count?
If you can make it work, brother.
I would say Gotham City because I want to just say Dick Grayson is the obvious choice. He's my favorite character at DC Comics in general.
Oh, yeah. Oh, one to add on that is Gordon. Detective Gordon has to be kind of like in there if you're going to say Gotham City. Yeah.
And so I think I forget. I forgot what I was reading, but I was reading like kind of like how to write, a book on how to write, and they were talking about the most important character in your story is the setting. And so, you know, Lord of the Rings isn't Lord of the Rings without Middle Earth. Harry Potter is not Harry Potter without Hogwarts. Batman is not Batman without Gotham City. And Gotham City has all these breathing, living characters within him that define the character as a whole. With Gordon and just the way his relationship with the Gotham Police Department, his relationship with the citizens, since in itself are kind of like, some of them hate Batman, some of them love Batman, some of them see him as myth, or just don't care. They just go work in their janitorial job and go home and then just do the whole thing. And it's like, you can tell stories with kind of, I really like the stories where it just kind of affects one person in Gotham. Those are like, I think, some of the best Batman stories, where just kind of Joe Schmo is kind of changed after his interaction with Batman. There's a really good episode of the animated series called the Lost Ones, where this like big fat cat typhoon type character like is abducting homeless people and making them like work in this like factory in the desert, and man goes to investigate all these like missing homeless people. But in order to do that, he puts on a disguise and turns himself into a homeless man, and he ends up getting himself abducted. And so then he goes saves these people from this corporate, evil businessman. And then afterwards, like, who's just this Batman essentially comes in, saves the day, and then Bruce Wayne uses his resources to like save this guy's life and his family. And that's kind of, and it's more of Gotham is what I think is the most important thing to Batman's characters. So that's just my take on it.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, Gotham is a wonderful setting. Without a great setting, it's hard to have a great story. So Doc, you finally back. What's your favorite Batman associated character? It can be hero or villain.
I'm gonna have to go a little off the board here and go with the Batmobile.
Nice.
I'm
a Sean Gordon Murphy fan here.
Yes, I am a big. I'm a car guy. I've been a car guy for as long as I can remember. My dad was a car guy. I kind of grew up around cars, working on cars, and the Batmobile itself is just fucking cool. Every iteration. I'm not a huge fan of the Tumbler, but the one from the Nolan movies. I'm not a huge fan because Batman driving around in a tank is kind of ridiculous. But I think that was more of he took inspiration from Batman actually driving around in a tank at the end of Dark Knight Returns. But no, I've always loved cars, and cars, they're very, very quintessential to Batman. Without the Batmobile, I mean, I can give or take like the Bat Cycle, the Bat Boat, the Bat Wing, or whatever the hell his airplane thing is. I could give or take all that stuff, but the Batmobile, his ability to get across Gotham is because he's just a dude. He doesn't run fast. He doesn't, swing from, I mean, he can swing a little bit Spider-Man style, but he ain't going to swing across the entire city. He can't fly. He needs a practical way to get around. And the Batmobile is so important to his ability to do his job. Otherwise, he's fucking Daredevil.
All right, so which one's your favorite iteration of the Batmobile?
Ooh, I'd have to say, you know what? I'm going to have to go with the kind of that animated series / Tim Burton movie style, like one of those two that they did in the late 80s, early 90s. I really like that style. That real long front end with probably like a fucking 18 cylinder engine. You know, just that
At the back.
yeah, that beast of a machine that was probably shooting fire out its tailpipes. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I will say if you haven't read Batman White Knight, just the chase scene at the end of the story with all the Batmobiles alone is worth the price. It's awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was like I was reading, I was like, this is the fucking coolest thing I've ever read. Like they're just destroying everything with a fleet of Batmobiles. It was quite excellent. So I don't know. I think Breen, are you the last one? Who's your favorite ancillary Batman character?
I was gonna go with Matches Malone, but no.
Damn it.
I would have to go with Dick Grayson from about like the mid 70s to up to the time he became Nightwing, because that was kind of the period where the boy becomes a man, and just some of the interactions with Bruce. And I'll again reference the Englehart Detective. There was a real nice exchange with them where they fight each other in the Batcave, just to see how far Dick has come and whatnot. And then in the early 80s when Conway and Mensch was
never mind. You said Dick has come. Keep going. You're gonna get the channel flag, man.
Why else do you think? Why do you still think a grown man has a child chained up in a basement?
Phrasing.
Oh no, the YouTube police. Oh no.
Never get monetized.
My bad. To finish up, and when he would appear in the early 80s when Conway and Mensch were sharing the books, he was written as, like I said, a young man, and it was kind of a transition period, and their dynamic changed after he became Nightwing, because he was pretty much a fully formed adult by then. So the way they interacted with each other became more almost adversarial. But that period of Dick Grayson was kind of the last bit of the mentor mentee, and it's like the end of Dick being in awe of Bruce.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'll pick up from there. My favorite Batman character is Nightwing himself. I think he's terrific. He was Nightwing on the Rebirth series was probably my second favorite series, right after Hal Jordan in the Green Lantern.
Dick Grayson or Nightwing, or just Dick Grayson in general, because there's a difference.
There's a difference. I'm talking about Nightwing. Okay. Although Robin Year, is it Robin Year One that was Chuck Dixon? Yeah, that one's amazing. Mm-hmm. But I prefer the Nightwing character where he's fully formed. He's on his own. He still respects Bruce and looks up to him, but he doesn't really need him to help him really at all. And I thought the Rebirth story was great, right up until the point where Tom King shot him in the head and ruined the character. Yeah, and definitely left a bad taste in my mouth. I did not like it. But all right, so now that if we're going to talk about Nightwing, one of the interesting things is you have all these since Batman's trained up Jason Todd, Dick Grayson, Damian Wayne. Now I'm forgetting one of them. What's the other?
Tim Drake.
Tim Drake. He's also got Orphan, The Signal. He's got a whole cast of heroes he's actually created. When the Batman steps down and someone needs to take up the mantle, Doc, who do you think is going to replace him? Or should replace him?
Oh, I have to go with Dick.
What about Rick?
Fuck Rick Grayson. Yeah, Dick's gotta be the one that replaces him. He's the one. He has his own opinions on what Batman should be, and if you were to actually retire Bruce, Dick is the only logical choice, and it would actually open up a lot of story ideas, because Tim's a little too much like Bruce. Damian is basically
psychotic.
Yeah, Damien's a psycho, and you don't let him anywhere near the mantle. He's more likely to be the next Red Hood than he is to ever be Batman. Obviously Jason would be the wrong person to do it because he's down a wholly different path that is so removed from Batman that he would never be able to change. I liked the idea of Azrael as Batman, but that you might as well have done Jason Todd as Batman because they're basically the same guy. But Dick Grayson could actually he would take Batman in a wholly different direction, and I think that would be something interesting for a few years.
Yeah, he definitely has his own kind of set of codes. Fiona Wolf, who do you think would be the best replacement for Batman in your mind if he ever decides to give up the mantle and hand the cowl off to one of his students?
Yeah, it definitely isn't the poor version that got shot in the head. I think yeah, Grayson makes more sense because wasn't he one of the first people in the animated series too? Like one of the first Robins. Again, this is my noob self saying like
he is the first Robin in general from 1940.
Yeah, I think he'd probably make the most
Comics
sense.
number 38.
Although, if we somehow get 10-year-old John back, maybe he can mellow out Damien a bit more. Maybe eventually Damien can become more productive because John really does bring out a good dynamic in Damien.
I just want Stephanie Brown back as Robin.
Yeah, that was I had to brush up on that. Yeah, that was Didiot. That was a dick move, Didiot. Dick move.
Yes.
All right, well, explain yourself. Why was it a dick move, Fiona Wolf? What happened?
I looked at it, and he did it for shock effect, because I guess that the whole capes can't have good personal lives, so we're gonna pretend to put Stephanie Brown in as a Robin, and then whoops, we're gonna take this carpet from under you. Wasn't that nice of us? Oh God! Even apparently some of the writers were like that was not cool, man, not cool. What is this? And apparently it happened at War Games arc because I was looking at it. I'm like, wait, they got the Fables guy on that War Games arc? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he was right, Robin at the time. He actually came in after Chuck Dixon.
I see, but yeah, it's like, oh God, yeah. I can see now why the Stephanie Brown fans were livid. It's like
Didio was making bad decisions for a very long time.
Maybe I'm glad that kid version of me didn't really understand half the stuff going on underneath the hood, as it were. Oh God. The more I find out, the more it's like, I'm in the rabbit hole. Hi, Alice. Oh no.
Yeah, you don't want to read up too deep into comics history. You'll find a lot of stuff you don't like. All right, Pele, who do you agreeing that it should be Dick Grayson, or do you have another answer?
Well, I'm going to disagree on this. I'm going to go a different direction on it. I think I know who DC is probably going to choose, and it's probably going to be so woke it's going to piss people off. But I would personally go with Tim Drake. The main reason being is the detective aspects. I think if you really looked at it as a whole of who's the best detective, who's the best, not necessarily the best fighter, not really the best as far as the persona, but as far as the best detective, I think Tim Drake is probably the best detective of the lot. He's the only Robin I can think of that's probably as close to Bruce Wayne's intellect as any of the Robins have been. And
he thinks he's smarter than Bruce, right? And that is a big thing.
Well, and he might be. He very well could be. but he doesn't have Bruce's experience. And that's always been his downfall, is he's, a little too big for his britches. And I think that some age and experience, will make him a great Batman as he grows into that and matures. So yeah, I think Tim Drake would probably, in my opinion, be the best Batman. Who I think they're going to pick, I don't think that Batman is going to be anything at all. I think that they're probably going to pick somebody like Carrie Kelly to take up the mantle of the Bat and going forward. And I just think they will, and it's going to piss a lot of people off, and they may retcon it and remove it. If there's a big enough backlash from the Batlash. But yeah, I think that they'll probably try to go that route in the name of inclusivity. And they'll probably try to pick somebody like Carrie Kelly, who has a lot of charisma, who is kind of hip and upbeat, and and try to take in the new direction, and it'll fall miserably flat on its face. But anyway, yeah, I think as a whole though, I think that Damian Wayne is far too psycho. I think that a lot of that, could change. Like Tim Drake maybe mature some, but I think there'll always be some part of Al Ghul. It's like I keep going back to that Al Ghul blood. There's an X factor involved there that when push comes to shove, he'll brutalize somebody, he'll torture them, he'll do anything necessary to do what has to be done, and that's not Batman.
Mhm.
Batman has lines, and despite what King's trying to do right now, Batman has lines that he doesn't cross. And part of that comes from the fact that I think that Batman is crazy in some respects, and he has these permanent touchstones, that to keep himself in line, that, this is something I just will not do. No matter what happens, I will not do these things. And it always makes him look for another way, whereas Damian would look for the easy way out. I think that Dick Grayson, if it really came push come to shove, would take an easier way out, and would possibly torture somebody if he absolutely felt he needed to, or possibly kill if absolutely he needed to. He's done it before. So you got to remember, Dick Grayson's killed more people than Bruce Wayne ever has. Lots more people than Bruce Wayne has ever had. So, it's. I think that like I said, I think Tim Drake probably fits it best. As far as the ethos, the ethics involved, and the morality of being Batman, as well as the intellect and the detective skills.
All right, so Bats, you've heard two people saying it should be Dick Grayson. You've heard one person say it should be Tim Drake. What are your thoughts, my friend?
They're wrong. So when Pele was saying that they were going to have a woke Batman, I was really excited for him to say Duke Thomas, because that would be the wokest. That would be the wokest. But he needs to change his sexual orientation to be pure wokeness.
I also had a very funny idea.
They haven't even touched on. Nothing would be more woke than a gay black Batman who hangs out at daytime in a shiny outfit.
Yeah, that did cross my mind too.
But my idea was this, though.
And on that note, out of all the Batman allies other than Cassandra Cain, Duke Thomas is the only one Bruce actually put a bat symbol on. At least, he never put one on Tim, Dick, or Jason. They all did it themselves. But Batman handed the costume with the bat symbol on it to Duke Thomas. But who would be the next Batman? The answer is Batman, because the Sean Gordon Murphy and Scott Snyder story tells us this story, and it even was the end of the New 52 into the Rebirth Batman, where Bruce Wayne has a cloning machine where he can clone himself and put his memories into his new clone. So Batman is eternal. And
Gay.
it just keeps no, absolutely. I don't think that's the right answer, but that's the answer we have been given for them to keep Batman young and recreating.
Why in the fuck didn't he just use
me,
that when he got his back broken then?
Well, because that was before.
Yeah, he hadn't invented it yet.
Yeah. Yeah, he invents it later.
It was like an anniversary anthology of Detective Comics, right?
Yeah, well, kind of, sort of. It was Detective 27, but it was the 27th issue of New 52.
Yeah.
So it was like whatever. Where did Batman?
Well, it also plays into Last Night on Earth.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, but the definitive answer is Terry McGinnis. Because that's who Terry McGinnis.
Yeah, explain.
That's who becomes the next Batman. In so much that there's a full animated series. There is multiple comic book series, and as Pele was saying, Pele actually told a story that he hasn't read that's already printed at DC. Bruce gave. So remember when you were saying Damian can't become Batman because he got too much. He still has Al Ghul blood in him.
Yeah,
well,
he's crazy.
Dan Jurgens told this story in Batman Beyond, where Bruce originally, when he retired, gave it to Damian, and Damian abused the Batman power and kind of went crazy. And so Batman stripped him of Batman-ness. And then Damian went back. Is it? It's like Legion. Yeah. Is the Legion in Elseworld? It's in the future, but it still affects continuity.
I'm just going by what DC has said that it is it's not canon. It is an Elseworld.
Well, then by that means every Legion story is an Elseworld.
Well, yeah, because they're all different variations.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they always reference the current continuity, and so they've referenced like John Kent and everything in the. Because Dan Jurgens was writing both Batman Beyond and Superman at the time.
I'm just saying. But go ahead.
So we already have the answer to who would become the next Batman because DC has already poured enough into it, so that Terry McGinnis to me is always gonna be the next Batman. It's not gonna be Dick. It won't be Damian. It won't be Tim or Jason or Duke or Cassandra or Carrie Kelly. She said 3 Batman stories. No, go away, Carrie Kelly. Maybe in Frank Miller verse, but the answer is going to always be Terry McGinnis.
All right.
Fans want more Terry McGinnis.
All right.
Not that I've heard, but go ahead.
The bats have spoken. You said you had a funny idea. What was it?
The most woke Batman. If you take poor Barbara Gordon as Oracle and then change her to Muslim, and then she'll be disabled Muslim woman as Batman.
That would be pretty damn woke.
I'm sorry, I got everything demonetized because of that.
It's 2019. Why the fuck not?
This video was demonetized when Pele was talking about homeless blowjobs.
That's what reading King is like, yeah.
Hobo blowjob.
Yeah.
Hobo blowjobs did happen.
Being forced to give a hobo a blowjob. That's like reading a King book, yeah.
It's
All
the
right.
amazing Batwoman in the disabled wheelchair adventures. Like, oh God.
Yeah. But it was quite unwoke for DC to make her not the first disabled Batman character that was a hero, but that's another story. Breen, you've heard all the arguments. Have you come up with your definitive idea of who should replace the Batman should he ever give up the cowl?
Well, I was hoping you'd ask me before Fiona told her story, because I was going to say, and I can see the first issue now, Batwoman, and don't assume her gender, bigot.
It's Batman. Batman.
But actually,
Batman.
Pele made me rethink my choice, and I got to go with Tim Drake too, because if they ever did this, in any way that's believable, it would be years down the road, and by that time, Dick would be getting up in years also, and yes, I did say Dick getting up in years. we're already shot, so it doesn't matter. But and Tim being about 10 years younger, give or take, would be the logical choice, because he is the better detective. And by that time, he would be a full-grown man and would probably be the best, most rational choice to succeed Bruce.
Well, there you go. Pele is changing minds and hearts right here on the Comics Aficionados. I can't believe it. All right, next subject. So DC Black Label is kind of twisting from its original incarnation, where it's going to be the best writers on Elseworld stories. Now it's kind of like that, but it's also
and Kelly Sue.
Yeah, well, she ended up getting Aquaman. I don't think her grade was Wonder Woman stories. Or I'm sorry, she got Wonder Woman, so I don't think they're. No, she did get Aquaman.
She got Aquaman in the main universe, and she still has a Black Label Wonder Woman coming.
I doubt that, but Black Label's getting all kinds of fucked up. They're getting all the leftovers from looks like Vertigo. They're getting their own Joe Hill imprint, for some horror comics and whatnot. But there is a ton of Batman material coming out. We've got Harleen. We got Harley and Joker. To Catch a Predator, something like that. We've got the Three Jokers coming out, which is a Batman story. I'm forgetting one. Oh, The Curse of the White Knight. So there's lots of Bat Central material coming out on DC Comics Black Label. Breen, I'm sending it right back to you. Which one are you most excited about?
That's a good question. Well, as far as upcoming things, I don't really have one. I mean, I am reading Last Night on Earth, but honestly, I said, the whole idea of this, is kind of like a pick and choose thing. Like I said, I didn't get on the Superman Year One. I really have no interest in anything Harley Quinn at this point. So I'm going to take a pass.
You don't want Jeff Johns on the Three Jokers with Jason Fabok?
I'll have to. I'll probably take a wait and see. When it comes out, I'll look through it, and I probably will get that because it's Jeff Johns who should be writing half the books for him instead of Bendis. But that's for another stream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should be the EIC or something very important.
Should be.
I think he's got a new role in the film division. All right, Doc. What are the Black Label Batman books are you most looking forward to, if any?
The only one I'm looking forward to is White Knight 2. It's the only. I mean, I told you I'm done with new comics, so the only person that keeps getting my money is Sean Gordon Murphy, and if they put Brian Hill on a bigger book, he'd get my money. But otherwise, I don't care about new books. So the only thing that I'm even remotely interested in is White Knight 2.
Uh-oh. Accidentally hit a button there. All right, so what if they do the Murphyverse and he's got a whole his own little imprint of Elseworlds Batman tales?
Well, if because I mean, I know that he already approached Brian Hill about doing something, in which case I'm down for that. But for that's going to depend on who they bring in for creators on the other things. But I don't really think none of the existing announced anything is even remotely interesting to me. I have no interest in one of the other 38 Batman books that they're going to do. I didn't care about Superman Year One. I don't care about Wonder Woman. I don't care about any of them. I really don't.
Doc's bitter. He's salty. Let's move it over to Fiona Wolf. Is there one of the DC Black Label books that you're most excited about?
Honestly, if I had to take a guess, Johns has not failed me so far. So probably about that. Otherwise, I'm going to use the rest of you guys as canaries to see if it's worthwhile.
You're going to wait for the reviews, see what's going on?
Yes, it's like, please light the way.
Yeah, especially they're like $6 or $7 comic books. They're not exactly cheap. All right. Bats, is there one that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, even though I've sworn off DC Comics, I will still buy Snyder Batman and Sean Gordon Murphy Batman. And
all right, so you're sticking with The Last Night on Earth and Curse of the White Knight?
Yeah, so, and whenever Jeff Johns finishes Doomsday Clock, I'll probably get my Cyber Frog before I get my Doomsday Clock.
In the year of our Lord 2020.
Yeah. And then after that, I'm waiting because I'm pretty certain that Doomsday Clock has to end for 3 Jokers to come out. So I'll check that out. But I mean, unless Chuck Dixon comes back and runs Batman or Snyder or Paul Dini or any of the names that we've listed off of the definitive Batman writers, DC won't be getting my my regular Batman money.
All right, so you're not happy either. Pele, what are you most excited about for the upcoming Batman DC Black Label?
White Knight 2. That's about it. I think that they're just making it it's a woke label now. It's what they were going to do. It's Vertigo 2.0. Woke Vertigo 2.0. I had such incredible hopes for it with Batman Damned, and they damned it. They damned it with damnable shit, and it's depressing and sad, but it's unfortunately that's the route that they're choosing to take with this, and I don't think that any amount of irritation shown on the part of readers is really going to matter. They're bound to determine that this is what it's going to be. So if it's if they radically change direction on this at some point in the future, I'll revise my opinion. But White Knight 2, I think Sean Gordon Murphy, my trust. And what's funny?
I'm laughing at you and Ash's interactions in the chat.
I'm not interacting with Ash. I'm not interacting with Ash in the chat. But anyway, yeah, that's it. Go ahead.
Yeah, DC Black Label's definitely killed my enthusiasm. I wish I still liked Lemire because those, the Question and Joker probably be interesting, but I'm probably going to pass on all that. So I think we've covered the comic books pretty well. Let's go into Batman movies. I think one of the reasons that Batman, was basically unassailable is because he's had so many cool movies. He's always in the spotlight, unlike most other DC characters. Doc, what's your favorite Batman movie?
Oh, you know what? For a very long time, I said Dark Knight. And no. Well, but then one of my friends pointed out to me that, you know what? It was a very good 3-act movie with an unnecessary 4th act tacked on. And they did. After I realized that, I'm like, holy shit, they did just tack on a 4th act. And it kind of killed it for me from a narrative perspective. And I think I know why they did it, because Heath Ledger died, and they would have used Joker in.
Yeah, they kept him alive for the 3rd movie.
Yeah, they would have kept him alive for the 3rd movie, and or at least in flashbacks, with having Two-Face as like kind of the big villain in the 3rd movie. But after that, I'd have to say Batman '89. I just love that Burton Batman movie.
Mm-hmm. Even though it has doesn't have much to do with the actual Batman comic book.
No, it's just Batman. I mean, it's very departed from Batman, with both his plane and his Batmobile having machine guns all over it.
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
Yeah, exactly. But so yeah, I'd have to go with Batman '89.
Awesome. Fiona Wolf, which one is your favorite Batman movie?
I'd have to say Batman Returns, because I like Danny DeVito as the Penguin.
He's
And it had just enough camp that it just amused me. But then again, I'm a little bit more whimsy myself, so I gravitated towards that one.
Nice. Bats, what's your favorite Batman movie? Don't say Forever. Don't say Forever, please.
Okay, Batman and Robin.
Oh, even worse. Even worse. Bad nipples.
No, Mask of the Phantasm is the best Batman movie for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's excellent, actually. It's one of the few animated movies I've seen.
And it's in theaters, so it counts as a theatrical Batman film. So, yeah, that's definitely, for me, the best Batman film. It covers everything you need to know. It even has the Joker in it, and he's great. You get origin story, you get some Frank Miller elements, you get everything with that film. And I just went and seen it they did like a 20-year anniversary release, and I went and saw it again in theaters, because I actually got to see it in theaters back in like '93. So it was nice to see it again on the big screen. I was a friend of mine who'd never seen it, and so he's like, "Man, this was the best Batman movie I've ever seen." And so I think it always gets overlooked.
Nice.
Because we're always focused on like the
live action. Yeah. So Tevye Smolka is agreeing with you, but Ashton Comics is being a dissenter and saying Lego Batman is his favorite Batman movie. I'm going to yeah. Lego Batman's fun. My kid loves it, but I don't know if it's all that good. All right. Who's next? Pele, what's your favorite Batman film?
Okay, I'm going to kind of go with I'm doing this only because the caliber of the performances, and that's The Dark Knight. It should be the Joker, the movie, but it's just Heath Ledger's performance just blew my mind, and he will, in my opinion, always be the definitive Joker as far as in film. But and I say that with a caveat, though, because I also believe that Mask of the Phantasm is probably a close second on that, and then the third would be 1989 Batman, because of the camp. Because you got to remember that Batman, as far as in the small and big screen before then, was always campy. There was always a degree of camp in there. There was the serious Batman, didn't come along until Batman Begins. And before then, it was always campy. You know, you go to the Batman, you always go to a Batman film or watch Batman on a TV show. And, you know, there was always humor and there's, you know, always weird jokes and stuff like that going on in the background. And, yeah, there was never that really serious, somber tone. But in Batman Begins brought. And I think Liam Neeson did a good job as Ra's al Ghul in that film. But so yeah, I'd put, anyway, just narrowly edging out Mask of the Phantasm, I'd put Dark Knight.
Nice.
Only because of Heath Ledger's performance, not having to do with Batman. You know, it's just, you know, it's just so good. But yeah, that's my choices.
All right, Breen, let's put these whippersnappers in their place. Tell them what the real best Batman film is.
Well, my parents wouldn't take me to the Adam West Batman when it came out, so I can't pick that one.
Mm-hmm.
No, I got to go with the Batman '89 because, yeah, we take these movies for granted now, but if you think about 30 years ago, the only thing we'd really had to that point were the 4 Superman movies, and then we finally get a Batman movie, and again, you know, compared to what came after it, it does kind of have a camp feel to it, but the atmosphere of the movie, if you take away all the, you know, colors that Tim Burton threw in, that was how I'd always imagined Gotham City would look. And just the set pieces, you know, alone made that movie worth watching. And yeah, I said it was just so unlike anything we'd ever seen at the time. So that'll always, you know, be my favorite for that reason.
Nice. Batman '89 is also my favorite. I remember being a kid at school and having my Batman cards, and we were trading them for food and stuff, and we were quoting the movie, you know, for about a year, and it felt like an enormous event. And movies don't really feel like that anymore. So I remember it being a huge deal for me, you know, as a kid, and it's a lot of fun. And well,
can I inject something here? That was also back during a time when a movie came out, it lasted the whole summer long.
Mm-hmm.
And you went, you know, the movie would come out like Memorial Day, like some, you know, or maybe like in early part of June, and it would be in the theaters until the end of August. And you would just keep going and keep going and keep going to the movies. And I saw Batman '89 like 14 or 15 times at the theater. It's kind of like, oh, it's Friday, we're gonna go see Batman again, you know. And it was an event, you know, and like we'd take new people, and you know, we you know, just all pile up in my buddy's old Dodge cargo van. You know, it'd be like 16 or 17 of us, and we'd all go see Batman for $3. And you know, and we did that all summer long. So, you know, and everybody singing along to Bat Dance and stuff like that, you know, and you had that amazing museum scene, you know, with Vicky Vale and the Joker. And yeah, it was just an event. It was summer. It was, you know, the entire summer of 1989 was Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So you could not go anywhere. I mean, they had like Taco Bell cups. Everything had Batman on it. And there was nothing else going on that summer except for Batman and Prince. So,
can I add something real quick?
Absolutely.
That's it. You kind of just touched on it. Hey, Lance, you know, the event. You know, I said it. Yeah. It was up to that point. I said it was like one of the first movies to, you know, really have product tie-ins. And I can remember waiting until the previous week was over to go get Taco Bell, which really wasn't really good in 1989, just to get those cups.
Damn, it's not good in 2019.
And I still have them. Yeah,
oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I remember, you know, back in those days, whenever a big movie was coming out, you'd have Prince or some big artist on it, and they would come up with like a song that was, you know, basically based on the movie and everything. And, you know, soundtracks are big, but yeah, movies are completely different now. They're not really events. They're just, you know, they just come out for 2 or 3 weeks and then they move on. So
it's really sad,
a different time.
too.
Yeah.
it's very sad. You know, you look at the films that come out now, the 250, $300 million films, you know, that at one point would have lasted for 3 months, you know, and people were celebrating the movie, and, you know, they were having a great time going to it, you know, and you didn't have to worry about looking at your calendar wondering, okay, is it still going to be out next weekend? Is it still going to be out next weekend? You know, because we got the next big event, quote, big event coming, you know, soon after this from the same studio. So it's like, no, it was a different time, and it was a better time if you were a movie lover. Now they're just products. You know, they poop them out, throw them out there. You know, you go, you watch it, you don't, who cares? But, you know, during that time, at least, I think it was the last time, you know, that, you know, a movie like that would come and dominate an entire consciousness for 3 or 4 months in the country. You know,
Well,
and
Titanic kind of did that, but
well, yeah,
Well,
but it's an exception. That's more of an exception, really.
it was weird.
in
What
in
were you saying, Matt?
'89, I was 4 years old, and one of my oldest memories is actually going to see Batman in theaters. And I remember the guy in front of me, who's probably someone like Pele who went and saw it a bunch of times. He had the bat symbol shaved into the back of his head.
Nice. I
And
would
I
have
was
done
I remember like being 4 years old and being like, that is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
that.
You know?
I used
That
to
was
have
actually
stuff
the first
shaved inside of my head when I had my mullet.
The bat symbol was the first tattoo I ever got. Actually, I've got it on my right shoulder blade. I've still got bat symbol right there. It was the first tattoo I ever got, and I was almost 17. I had to lie about my age to get it. But
Nice.
So
yeah.
adding on to what Pele was saying about the movies just being big products now that are actually there to move other stuff like toys and other merchandise and stuff like that. So Tim Burton was originally supposed to make the third Batman movie, but the Warner Brothers were worried that after Batman Returns that the movie was so dark that they wouldn't be able to sell toys to kids. So they famously moved him out, and I believe is it Joel Schumacher?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Schumacher replaced him, and it was all bright and neoned up, and it just killed the entire series. Doc, do you remember that?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, everything was neon in Schumacher's Batman. And the costumes got campier, you know, adding in Robin, and it was oh God, it was just not Batman anymore. It felt like it felt like you suddenly dropped an Adam West Batman movie in the middle of Tim Burton's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I was 11 when the first one came out, and I was like 17, maybe 18 when I was like, what is this horse shit? This sucks.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel the same.
But to counter that argument, you know, as Wes is saying, he was in his late teens and you all were in your adulthood. I was 10 when Batman Forever came out and was a big fan of the Adam West show, as well as the Tim Burton one, as well as the animated series. So just any Batman content at the time, any new Batman content, to this day, like, you know, I had my period in my late teens and early 20s where I was like, Schumacher ruined Batman. But then when I come back to it now, watching it nostalgically, I appreciate it as I appreciate it when I was 10 years old and 12 years old, and actually enjoy a lot of the things that, like, when I put them next to each other, because there's 100 Batman films now. When I look at something like The Dark Knight, it's so far to the darkness that there's nothing fun about it, and it's kind of just like, But then when I see, like, you know, Bane drive, he's just like this huge muscular man with green veins in a tuxedo driving a limo. I'm like, that amuses me, and that's kind of fun. And, you know, like, I enjoy seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger making dumb ice puns versus like, there's like, there's balance between it. And it's like, you have to go all the way super camp for everyone to panic and then be like, all right, now we're going to go full dark. And we still haven't balanced out that medium quite yet. And I feel like they're trying to get there with Justice League, but that movie just didn't resonate with audiences. They're like, oh, Batman's making too many jokes. And it's like, well, Batman can make jokes, especially when he's the guy with no superpowers in a group full of people with superpowers. But, I've at this point have just lost all, not interest, but like, I just don't care what they do with Batman in film, because we're just going to keep getting Batman films, whether we want it or not. So I'm just along for the ride. Same with Spider-Man. Yeah, like I just watched the Sam Raimi stuff, and I watched the entire trilogy over 3 days, and it's like, to me, it's the golden standard for superhero films. Even the third one that everyone says is bad, all the character moments are really good with Aunt May and just Peter and MJ. They all have really good story arcs from the first film to the second film, into the third film. Even though the third film is bloated and the plot pretty much sucks being a plot, but all the characters within the film are really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Spider-Man 2 is excellent. I still think X-Men 2 was better, but apples and oranges at that point. But we're talking about Batman. Let's wrap it up. I'm going to send it to everybody. One last, put your final words out, Batman, and then we're going to move on to Doug TeNapel. Brianna Wolf, what's your last words about Batman before we can wrap this up?
Honestly, I'm just glad that this stream gave me good ideas to find more stuff, so that way I can avoid the pitfalls of more King-related sadness.
Yeah, you don't want to find that garbage. All right, Doc, what are your final words on Batman?
Get better.
Yeah, it's got to get better. It's only 6 more months, man. All right. Bats, what's your final words on Batman before we talk about Doug TeNapel?
Greatest character in fiction.
There you go. Well said, my friend. All right, Breen, what do you think?
Got to give Bats credit again. I got to agree with him. But I will say, one thing I will say about Tom King, real quick, is one thing he did that I actually appreciated was in the first couple of issues of his run, he had Batman do something that no one had ever done before, and that was call in the Justice League for something that was too big in Gotham for him to handle. Something he should have done in No Man's Land, at least to look for survivors and to, clean everything up. But that said, I really can't say more than what Bat said. He is the greatest character in fiction, and I said, and I just hope that whoever takes over for King,
Tom, excuse me,
brings him back.
That's getting bad to worse.
All right, Trey, what's your final thoughts on Batman? We're gonna put a bow on this and move on.
No matter how bad King is right now, and it really is bad. I mean, it is shit levels of bad. Don't forget that there are incredible Batman stories before, and if you're listening to this, you probably haven't read them all. And I invite you to go back and read through the catalog of Batman. If you have the DC app, and it's real cheap, monthly subscription on it's like pennies a day, get it, go back and read the old Batman stories, all the way back to the Silver Age, and even some of the Golden Age is a little crazy and campy, but all the way back to the Silver Age. Work your way forward, enjoy those incredible Batman stories because they're so good, and just write it out. It can't last forever. King can't last forever. Batman's far more staying power than King ever will. So, and eventually the ship will get righted again, and we'll have great Batman stories again. But until then, you got a lot to catch up on. So go to it.
Awesome. All right, so that's going to wrap up our Batman stuff. You know, I share the sentiments of the panel. Great character. Think he'll turn around soon, and even if he doesn't, eventually he will. So there we go. So recently, yes,
I was wondering if I could say one last thing. Go watch Batman and Bill. If you haven't seen it yet, you gotta see it. Go watch Batman and Bill. It's about the true creator of Batman. And
is that
we've
what
talked so much?
you were talking about?
We've said Tom King's name like 1,000 times on this panel, and we have not even mentioned Bill Finger. So go watch.
We did mention that while you were out, but I got the title wrong. Thanks for getting it right.
You call it that's Bill and I.
Yeah, Bill and me. It was Batman and Bill. So that that might even be on YouTube because I looked it up, but I had the title wrong. But like I said, great documentary.
Yeah, if you haven't heard the story of what happened to Bill Finger, and what happened after he created all this wonderful lore for Batman, it's actually really tragic, and it's it's something that makes you not like the industry all that much. But thankfully, well, I don't think it really got righted for him, but it did get righted for his family eventually.
If I can say one more thing, one of the stories that they cover in that, and this is really sad, they actually let him co-write one of the episodes of the TV series, and all he asked was that he got first billing so he could say he saw his name first once in his career.
Oh,
my God. That is sad. All right, let's get happier. Recently, if you haven't seen Bats's Bigfoot Bill review, I encourage all of you, once the stream is over, go right over to his channel, Sergeant Bats. If you're not sub to it immediately, watch his Bigfoot Bill video. It's a great review of Doug TenNapel and how Doug affected him in a terrible moment of his life and provided comfort for him. Doug had another crowdfunding campaign, Earthworm Jim. I don't remember the subtitle on it, and it just ended yesterday. And it is what's that?
Launch the Cow.
Launch the Cow. It ended yesterday, and it is now the biggest crowdfunded comic in history with over $700,000. Doc, what do you got to say about that?
I think that this is a book that Doug has been trying to get done for 27 years. He's been trying to get the rights back to it. I could not be happier for the guy. He's taken his share of slings and arrows from entertainment, from the media, even from fans, and he finally had the opportunity to get his baby back, because that is, I mean, look, I don't know how old some of you guys are, whether or not you were gamers, but I know for a lot of people, Earthworm Jim was kind of their childhood. I can't, what was it? Super Nintendo, I think it was. Can't remember if was it Genesis as well. I couldn't remember if it was for both systems.
It was originally on Genesis, and then it ported over to Super.
Okay, but so and then the guy, at a young age, he created something successful and sold the rights and everything so that he could try to move on and make other successful things. And he never quite replicated that success, and he always kind of wanted to get the rights back, and he finally did. And he finally got the rights to do this book. I mean, he's also, I believe he's part of the team working on the new game, but his opportunity to do this book was just, I couldn't be happier for the guy. Well, I was about to send it over to Bats, but he was Bats, you've recently talked to Doug. You've had a little bit of conversation with him, and obviously you guys are both relatively religious guys, so I figure you kind of have that in common. what do you think about this for Doug?
Well, our pal Stax, he tweeted out about how he didn't want to miss he made the mistake of missing Bigfoot Bill, which I think a lot of people did, and I think after seeing the quality that was Bigfoot Bill, that book is the nicest book that I own on my shelf back there, and I got a lot of books over there. In the quality and the product in itself far exceeds anything that DC or Marvel has put out, or IDW or Boom or Image has put out as a collected book. And I think a lot of people feel like they're like, that's the book I should have got. And so Staxton said, I was 60%, so I 60% sold it, and then 40% War Campaign sold it. And basically, I think a lot, when I retweeted Stax and said enthusiasm sells comics, not Friday night drama. And that's why it's the biggest crowdfunded book, is because of the enthusiasm that, people want a good comic just to be a good comic. They don't need all this like inside baseball hidden drama and be like, and just like, oh, this guy did this and this guy said this, or like, no, guy created he created Earthworm Jim. I like him. He's fine. Like, and most of the Tenaple fans are just enthused about good comics.
All right, just 1 second, Fiona. You're about to head out. We want to thank you
birthday bash. Birthday bash time.
And happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
And I am glad that guy did get Earthworm Jim back, because I remember playing that as a kid, and Toe Jam and Earl and all that fun stuff. So it's a classic.
It is
at
a
least
classic.
to me.
And we all wish you a happy birthday. Thank you very much. Is there one comic book you want to recommend before you step out for your birthday lunch?
I even though Comicsgate is like at each other for certain things, I've really loved Flying Sparks. Definitely interested in what Douglas Ernst is doing. Pretty much, it doesn't matter what their side they're on. If it's a fun book, I'm gonna buy it.
That's the way it should be. Awesome. Thank you very much, and have a great birthday. On the Comics Aficionados.
Oh yeah, definitely. Love you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Fiona.
Bye-bye.
And just like Cashew was saying there, it's like, if it's a good book, she's going to buy it. And I think that's really what it comes down to, is that enthusiasm over drama. And I think that's where Comicsgate needs to find itself. And just comics in general, because no one's enthused about Batman or the things that they're doing over at DC. Most people aren't enthused about what's going on over at Marvel, and same in our little indie scene. There's not much enthusiasm, and we all cling to like the one thing where all the fun is. So,
I think that all the publishers have at least one thing that really kind of excites people right now, but there's not a general excitement with any company. And
yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of sad. It's kind of sad, really. I mean, I do have my Marvel fanboys still at the shop, and the DC fanboys too, and who will, to their dying breath, sing the praises of, Tom Taylor or whoever, is writing, because, they don't have any other alternative right now. But yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but we have to realize that the things will change at some point. They can't continue going the way they are. Eventually, if they don't change, the industry will just die, and then it'll be reborn as something else. Hopefully better with it. So one way or the other, sometime in our lifetimes, we'll see an improvement in comics, one way or the other.
So, Breen, what are your thoughts on $700,000 for Earthworm Jim? Can you believe it?
I said, I really wasn't following this all that closely. I've kind of bailed on Comicsgate in general, but I'm very happy for the guy. By all accounts, he's a great guy, and wish him, all the success in the world.
Yeah, it's funny. That's pretty much the general feeling on the whole panel is we're all in different stages of exiting Comicsgate. It's like, this isn't fun anymore. But Snaple's done a great job of building enthusiasm. He treats all of his customers or even his critics with respect and dignity, which I really appreciate. It seems to be in short demand nowadays. And, $700,000 is a lot. Pele, are you going to try and feature this book in your store? Is it too much for you?
I did not order the dealer pack for this. I kind of fiddled around with the idea of it. They had the one where you could send some to the Air Force Base, but I didn't see one for like a retail pack at the time. Then I found out later on that I could contact him and get one, but I didn't do it because I just didn't think that the interest would be there to sell them through. But that could change. He's going to do other subsequent printings of it, probably in a soft bound, maybe somewhere like at a little bit lower price point, and that might move pretty well. Maybe something like a $15, $15 to $20 book, might do pretty well. But I didn't get in on Bigfoot Bill when it launched and during its run. So I ended up picking up mine on eBay, and got lucky on that one. I got an auction that was closing and ended up paying less than I would have if I'd have backed it. But most of them I see now selling for $45 to $60 something. Wow. So definitely, definitely don't hold don't hold out on backing something like that from a well-known, respected creator, or it'll come back to haunt you and bite you in the butt. You have to pay a lot more for it. But yeah, I really enjoyed Bigfoot Bill. Great product, beautiful presentation on it. If Earthworm Jim's going to be anything like that, then hold on to your butts. It's going to be really, really impressive.
It's going to be better than
I did back Earthworm Jim this time though. I got the party pack thing or whatever, the 2 books with the prints and stuff, like the 3 print things, and some cards. I bought some of the cards that also look really neat. So yeah, that's I'm looking forward to getting all that, and I think it's going to be a really nice weekend. With break out some of the really good bourbon and sit and read Earthworm Jim for a whole weekend. Sounds like a good plan to me.
So, Bats, do you actually have the book? Because if you haven't seen the packaging for Bigfoot Bill, I couldn't believe it. I felt like a dunce for not supporting the book. I was like, I don't really, it's the Earthworm Jim guy. I was a little too old to really be into that comic book. When I saw the book, I was like, why didn't I back? This is the best
let me get Batman out of the way.
Novel I've ever seen in my life.
So it has really nice canvas texture. I don't know what kind of bounding this is called, and it has the gold around it. It's probably impossible to see, but right here they have a pressing of a silhouette of Bigfoot Bill running.
It's embossed. Yeah, it's embossed on the back. Yeah, it's really nice.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful book. Earthworm Jim is going to be it's going to have the similar gold lettering. It's going to have like whatever it's called, like on the Bible when they do it on the edges of the
gilting pages. Yeah,
gilding.
Yeah, it's going to do that.
Gilting.
They're going to do that. It's going to basically Earthworm. This was a prototype, and Earthworm Jim is going to be a superior product to this, and this is like I said, it's the best, nicest book I have on my shelf over there. And
Yeah, if
I
anybody's
cannot
familiar
wait.
with if anybody's familiar with the way that Gustave Doré, Paradise Lost and those Dante's Inferno, those old museum type books, it's the same type of quality.
Yeah, it
It's
looks
And
like
then,
it would have been made in the 30s or something that was actual high
Uh-huh.
quality.
and
Yeah,
I got
same
when
type.
I bought Bigfoot Bill, I got the lowest tier, which came with a pack of cards, a patch, and a bookmark. And it has, how many cards are in here? Like 2, 3? Yeah, it came with 3 different cards. And I did the same for Earthworm Jim. I got the lowest tier, but we hit like every stretch goal where his son, Mr. Phillips, even got a bonus, and I cannot wait for Earthworm Jim. I think it's gonna blow everything out of the water. I was so enthused, as I said, enthusiasm sells comics. On yesterday, the last day, I was like, you know what, I feel like I missed out on the making of Bigfoot Bill. I only because it was 2 books. I wish I had the making of, and so yesterday on the last day, I went and got the making of Earthworm Jim. So I backed it twice.
So Doc, I know that you hadn't backed it yet. You're planning on doing it. What's the book? Why are you getting so excited about Earthworm Jim?
Actually, you know what? For the same reason that I think others are. Like I skipped Bigfoot Bill. It didn't really appeal to me. But then I saw what kind of a product he put together, and I heard, hey, it's a well done book. It might not be your you're right in your wheelhouse, but it's a well done product that he put the time and the effort into. It's not just about the story with that one. It's about the overall product. And I said, you know what? And after I saw the end result, I'm like, son of a bitch, I really wish I would have bought that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I wasn't a huge Earthworm Jim fan because I was never a big gamer. But I like it. I like Doug's enthusiasm. I like his joy of that product, of getting to put out this book. And it's infectious. So next weekend, whenever I have a little bit of extra cash laying around that's more for the discretionary, I'm gonna buy it in demand.
Mm-hmm. One of the other things I kind of like about Doug is he's well known. He's had a lot of really successful video games. I think he put Bats was saying in his video he puts out 1 book a year, correct?
Mm-hmm. If you really want to check out like what kind of writer he is, go read Cardboard. That book is great. You can get it on Amazon for like $11.
Yeah, so he has a pretty impressive portfolio, and he doesn't take himself seriously. I like that. When he hit a certain stretch goal on Bigfoot Bill, I believe he dyed his hair hot pink or something insane like that. And then I think on this one, didn't he put a
Star Spangled Banner hair?
Yeah, he's got like American flag hair and stuff like that. He's an older gentleman. I'm sure he doesn't feel great about doing that for his fans, but he doesn't take himself so seriously that he isn't willing to make himself look like have bright pink hair and stuff like that. I like that. I like that personality. It appeals to me. Have you seen all that stuff, Kelly? Sorry.
I'm sorry. What was the question? Somebody was talking to me.
Oh, with the Doug does, he's really successful, but he doesn't take himself so seriously that he isn't willing to dye his hair hot pink or put the banner in his hair. It really appeals to me. How do you find that?
yeah, I mean, it's amazing to see. You know, it's kind of like he's a kid, you know, and he's never forgotten exactly how comics affect people, and he's never forgotten how infectious it can be to, you know, to write a great story with great art, and how that medium can have an impact on people. So he gets really amped up and excited, you know, and you can tell that in the way he writes and the way he talks about his projects, and there's a certain passion there that you don't see from others in the industry. You know, they're kind of like pooping out whatever project's put in front of them to get a paycheck. You know, this isn't a paycheck, you know, not specifically just a paycheck for him. You know, you can tell because this is a hardback book. It's a heavy, really, really extremely well made hardback book for $25. You know, like if this was being put out, you know, retail on the shelf by DC or Marvel, you know, it'd carry like
40
Used to be 90.
oh yeah, the Killing Joke, the definitive edition, the authoritative edition, whatever, ultimate edition Killing Joke that came out not too long ago. You know, $70, you know, was the retail on it, and you know, it didn't have the quality of these products. You know, it has a name, you know, Killing Joke. It's a hot property, but you know, it doesn't have the care put into the production of it and the passion, you know, with the writing and the artwork, and you know, it's not on the same tier, but it costs, you know, almost 3 times more. So you know, it's completely different. It's a completely different era. I mean, not era, a completely different category of product. So yeah, it's a different thing. And if you get into something like this with Doug TenNapel, you know that, you know, going by the way that that Bigfoot Bill was done and what you see right now with Earthworm Jim, you can feel confident that you're more than getting your money's worth. You know, you're getting something that's actually a part of somebody's life, and something that somebody's really put their blood, sweat, and tears into.
Mm-hmm. Were you about to say something, Bats?
I did, but I forgot.
Oh, jeez, you're getting old like us. You're supposed to be the young one that can remember everything. All right, so Breen, you said something interesting earlier that you know, you kind of like just kind of walked away from Comicsgate. I remember, you know, how big were you into Comicsgate? Were you really enthusiastic about the movement and everything? What happened?
Well, you know, what I do give Comicsgate credit for is, you know, since the industry was, you know, collapsing on itself, and you know, these guys came in and you know, started, like, you know, with you know, Richard and, you know, Captain Cummings and all those guys. It gave me something to do in comics when I wasn't reading new comics, because there weren't many worth reading. So I'll always be grateful to them. Hell, if it wasn't for Comicsgate, most of us wouldn't know each other, and we probably wouldn't be on this right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm grateful for that. But you know, I just, you know, watch what's going on now, and it's like, you know, in their own way, they've become what they set out to oppose. And you know, I said, yeah, my biggest gripe with SJWs is you can agree with them 99% of the time, but in that 1%, you're canceled. Well, how's that any different than what's going on now with Comicsgate?
Mm-hmm. If you don't agree with the hive mind.
Well, no, I said, you know, and honestly, I said, you know, something you said when I was younger, I said, you know, you could argue over whether or not Sandman was cooler than Superman, like the cool kids read Vertigo, blah, blah. But the bottom line was, outside of the comic book store, they'd shove both of us in our lockers. So, you know, being a bunch of clicks for something like this, outside of that, no one cares. So it just, you know, it's just kind of pointless after a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes I'll be, you know, looking at Twitter and I'll just start laughing about something, and then someone goes, "Oh, what's so funny?" And I'm like, "It's like a inside baseball kind of thing. Like, it would take way too long to explain what War Campaign is and all that. They're like, what? And I was like, this crazy Twitter gang. I don't know, Twitter gang. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Once again, we come back to Triple H wearing Kane's mask, humping a mannequin in a.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly.
This is embarrassing to talk about. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, the other thing is that, I'm pushing 60. Do I really need to be arguing with people over, comic book drama?
Exactly. I just want to talk about
enthusiasm. The enthusiasm sells comics, and the enthusiasm of comics brings people together, and that's what we're supposed to do: is bring each other together instead of, divide each other. I mean, I love chatting it up with, here on the show or in Ash's Discord with Ash and Breen and Jimmy. It's always and it's fun to talk about comics in a manner where it's like, hey, did you ever read this? Or like, no, I didn't care for that. And it's all like, everyone has their own opinions, but at the end of the day, nothing we all just go back to our normal lives. It's just like this crazy drama that is Comicsgate is just like, it doesn't matter. And I find myself always throwing myself in the middle of it because I like to stir up tension, like making stupid memes and stuff. I get a kick out of when Poe gets starts making memes and he threw my avatar and I'm like, I have leveled up. I am in a War Campaign meme. I have become an enemy, and it's just I find the amusement of it. So does it matter? No, it doesn't affect my life in any way other than my Twitter persona. It's doesn't even matter. It's all just a joke. And on my lunch yesterday, I was looking at Twitter and it was I saw Jeremy from Geeks and Gamer was F War Campaign, and then an hour later it's EBS called us off, and it's what is this nonsense? What is this so stupid? Hey, Bigfoot Bill
called off the bitches.
Hey, look, yeah, Earthworm Jim's about to wrap up. Why aren't we talking about this and why it's at the time made over 600,000? And on that note, what I forgot I was going to say and now remember, every copy of Earthworm Jim, every backer of Earthworm Jim gets a preview, a 24-page preview of Bigfoot Bill, part 2.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think was that the last stretch goal? Pretty sure it was.
No, I think everyone he knows and his entire friends and family get $1,000 bonus for all the crazy stretch goals.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're talking about Doug not taking himself too seriously, he was saying on his stream, when he had pink hair, he had to explain it to everyone in his church because he's an usher. So he's the guy going, hey, hello, welcome in. And he's welcoming people at church. And there's this 6'9" guy with pink hair. And so it's going to be funny when he has an American flag for hair. And he's welcoming people into the church.
Yeah, it's be pretty hilarious sight. All right, so I think have we covered the Doug TenNapel Earthworm Jim enough? I think we have.
Yeah, I think so.
So there's been a couple other interesting announcements. Breen, did you see that Marvel's Contagion event is coming?
I thought that was the last 7 years.
Wow. That's metaphorical contagion. This one's actually going to be called it.
Literal contagion.
Yes, this is going to be called the literal contagion. Actually written by a pretty good writer in Ed Brisson. Doc, I know you're a big Brisson fan. Are you excited about this event?
No. Because what Marvel needs in 2019, I need a fucking hole in the head, is another goddamn event. Yeah. They've got what, 7 this year?
I didn't even know it was coming out.
I literally, does anybody give a shit about any of these events? And Joe Quesada's on fucking Twitter last night talking about this big announcement they have Monday.
I know.
And I'm like,
God, it's an embarrassment.
I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Let people just tell normal stories. Not everything needs to be a fucking event. And anything that has any depth at all that would have been a 4-issue story arc 20 years ago in an issue of in a couple issues of Avengers or X-Men or Spider-Man now gets turned into these 93 tie-in 14 new mini series, 5 new maxi series relaunch,
$6 a piece.
Yeah, $6 a piece events with nonsense like secret variants with blood splatter.
Oh God! Don't
okay, I'm not going to get Pele started on that one.
No, we're going to do that next week.
Yeah,
a special show for that.
But
I am so triggered over that. Don't start.
I'm done with that. But what they need, like a hole, like I need a fucking hole in the head, is another goddamn event. So I don't give a shit. Stan Lee himself could come back from the fucking dead to write a Spider-Man event, and I'm going to say, fuck you, stop writing events.
He would be a true Marvel zombie.
What if Jack Kirby was drawing it?
I don't care.
That's strong.
I don't care at this point. I don't
care if they resurrected. I don't care if they resurrected, Steve Ditko to do it.
Yeah. No, just stop. No more goddamn events. I'm done with
it. Claremont wrote a new X-Men that was a definitive origin for all of them.
Then I'd be like, but I already have that. I have I have 17 years of Claremont writing that. I'm good with it. I don't need him to come back and decide a new origin for everything.
Yeah, that would just complicate matters.
Wow, it's all about complicating things. We're about to get a new origin for the X-Men in I think it's this month, right?
Yeah.
That's what I got to say about that.
I am hearing a lot more buzz from the customer base as far as Hickman, and it looks like it's going to be, at least from a sales standpoint, it's going to be a success, just from the amount of buzz I'm hearing and the amount of people that are wanting it added to their pull lists. And it's kind of like the sting of the last 8 months is worn off to the point to where somebody like Hickman can come in and possibly do a cleanup job, mop up on aisle 3 for the disaster that's happened now, where they just throw let's just throw out 20 issues that don't mean anything, and we're just going to use this as filler because we know that Hickman's going to be coming in anyway. We're just going to lie to everybody and tell them that this is the series going forward. It's important. No, instead of telling to people the truth that it was just a maxi series to hold people's attention for the time being. Fucking liars. But I am seeing some positive spin on that. So people are willing to seems like the general X-Men reader is willing to let bygones be bygones, as long as this Hickman series is good. And if it's good and it promises 100% on what it if it delivers on 100% of what's promised, then they can get back into people's good graces. I'm getting a lot of tentative sort of, okay, I'm going to try it, but this is the last chance, by God, and they kind of waggle their finger, like, don't waggle it at me. It's not my fault. I'm not writing the fucking thing. But, I understand where they're coming from, though. It's very painful, when you're tapped for $5, every 2 weeks,
$6
to find out that, yeah. And it's just like bam, 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 bam. And it's like, come on, don't do this anymore. Don't do it. You're raping the customer. Oh, I said the R word. You're raking the customer over the coals, and with a product that you damn well know is not going to mean a single solitary thing going forward. And the only thing that's going to mean anything going forward on this is you brought Wolverine back. That's it. And you did the whole, Cyclops meets Wolverine again. Oh wow, let's write let's do a $7 book and and big huge monstrous thing and make an event out of that. What big deal, and it's not going to mean anything. Those are the only things that's going to mean anything going forward into the new series. So you had to write 20 books to do that, so. But yeah, it's going to take something monumental though to get everybody's hold their attention. And will Marvel do it? Is this going to be the new definitive series going forward? So
No.
If it is, congratulations. You finally did. If it is, I'm going to give them the benefit one more time. If this is the definitive situation going forward, then congratulations, Marvel. You pulled your head out of your ass and you unscrewed yourself from somewhere you shouldn't have been in the first place. But if it isn't, people are ready to wash their hands of X-Men altogether, and pretty much the majority of Marvel, and just say screw you. So, what are they going to do? This is their last chance.
Can I throw my 2 cents in?
Absolutely. I was about to send it over to you.
That's it. At one point, I owned every Marvel superhero comic from Fantastic Four #1 through Fear itself. And I've read probably 90+% of them. There is nothing Marvel can do at this point that I've seen in the last several years to make me buy an in-continuity title. I can't, Hickman can write the greatest story in the world, but knowing that takes place in the same universe where Peter Parker and Kamala Khan switch bodies and Peter tries on her lip gloss and goes, tee-hee, I like this. There's too much damage. I mean, you think about how bad did they have to get someone who, could make the quintessential lifer bail 100%. And that's what Marvel's done to me in the last 7 years.
Well, it's not just you. They did it to Doc as well. He was a whale that was. Mm-hmm. What was the issue on X-Men that where you stopped being a completionist?
Oh, it was X-Men Blue and X-Men Gold #1. Whenever they released, I can't remember if it was 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 2,500. The Jim Lee remastered variants for those, and I just said nope, done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because the variant was like $1,000, right?
Go ahead.
It was $1,000 on launch day.
Yeah,
I'm just like no, I'm no. If it's entirely
I knew stores that were actually buying 500, 1,000 copies just to get those damn books. And they're still sitting above their counters. They're still sitting on the walls with $800,000 price tags for X-Men Gold #1, Jim Lee Remastered Edition, $799. And I talked to the guy, it was one of my competitors. I said, I see you got that. You still got it. Gold's already gone by. The new X-Men title had already started. The maxi series now, the filler series has started. Mm-hmm. It's still up on the wall. And I said, I see you still got it up there. $800, what you got on it? He goes, well, I'll negotiate. I said, I'll bet you will. I said, where are you at on it? Would you take $300? He looked at me and kind of, He says, well, I might take 4. And I said, I'll bet you would. And I left.
Yeah. just no. I mean, no. And at that point, if I can no longer complete, I'm not going to bother with any of them. So,
yep.
So now you're just filling out your original X-Men. We know that you got a X-Men 1 that you've been laying with, right? You've been
Yeah, I'm still hugging
You say
it
you've
every
been betting
day.
it?
Yeah, I'm still hugging it every day.
Yeah, he took it to the park. They're planning on going to SeaWorld next month.
Yeah. I tried playing fetch with it. It didn't work very well.
Yeah.
So you just picked up another one of your series, right? What'd you pick up?
I picked up 2 more, or actually, yeah, I picked up X-Men 13 and X-Men 28.
All right, so which one's your personal favorite? Which one's the one that you had to have?
You know what? The 28's been bugging me for a while because it's the first Banshee. And that one's been sitting there. That one's been kind of irritating me that I didn't have it. 13 was just second Juggernaut, and I already have 12, and I have 14, which is first Sentinel. So 13 was kind of I'll get to it, but I really need to finish that 1 through 10. Once I get 1 through 10, but I need to take a break on the big books in the meantime, because that number 1 cost me a lot more than I wanted to spend on it.
I know how you feel.
All right, so I want to talk about one last thing that's in the chat, and then I'm going to throw it to Bats because he has to get out of here, and I want to hear what his weekly recommendation is. But Dominic Powell says, what's everyone's thought on the Avengers tie-in for the War of the Realms and She-Hulk? I dropped Avengers after the War of the Realms tie-in number 1 because it sucked so bad. I'm assuming this is the hot tub scene. Pele, is that what he's talking about?
I guess so.
The one where she gets in and Captain America is averting his eyes saying, "Dear Lord."
Yeah. Oh God. Oh no. Yeah, it's probably like a bush the size of a small shrubbery.
Oh,
and
Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, nobody needs to see that. No. But yeah,
I imagine
Thor's going, yeah. Yeah, I think that wasn't it. She and Thor, like as soon as he saw her, they were like banging within 5 minutes or something. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
Geez. Oh,
she was banging Thor. Thor was just taking it.
Probably, yeah. We don't need that. It's nobody needs to see that. Not even Thor needs to see that.
All right, that's enough. We're closing this bitch down. Bats.
Oh no,
comics recommendations.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Dominic was actually talking about Avengers 20, not the hot tub scene. It was, I think that was the one with She-Hulk beating up all of her other selves.
Yeah.
I think I dropped it at 18 or 19, whichever one was the first War of the Realms tie-in.
When Jennifer stopped being sexy, she stopped being She-Hulk. I don't care what there is no savage She-Hulk. Jennifer is hot. She's attractive. She's strong. She's a powerful woman. And I'm not going to say she don't need no man, but she loves those men. And she does it while still being a woman and not being some beast. So there you go.
Free to be ugly.
All right, Bats. What are your weekly recommendations so you can get on out of here?
I mean, obviously, this 3-month-old comic book, Bigfoot Bill. But this week, I really, really liked Power Rangers Go number 21. Yeah, 21. Written by it's co-written by Cena Grace, and I could see it potentially taking a left turn, but maybe through editorial and good direction by a lead writer, we might be okay. But overall, the series still stays good, and yeah, that's I all I've read is like indie stuff like this week. Like you got to go online and find it and something like that. So if you're gonna go to the comic shop, go get Go Power Rangers 21.
Awesome. And you're heading out. So where can people find you, my friend?
You can find me on YouTube at Sergeant Bats, SGT Bats, 2 words. You can find me on Twitter at 1 word, SGT Bats, and that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. Great recommendations and great show as always, my friend.
Thanks for having me, man.
Later,
I gotta
man.
figure how to hang
See you, Bats.
Later.
So
Later.
All right, Breen, this is your debut show. What are your weekly recommendations?
I don't read a whole lot of weekly stuff anymore. The new stuff.
It can be old stuff that you think people should check out.
Well, as far as new stuff, I will say, Criminal by Brubaker is a must read. As far as the old stuff, I said, go back and read some of the old Avengers, from the late '60s and through the mid '70s.
Nice.
It's start with the Kree Skrull War and just go up through the Korvac saga and get about 80 plus fantastic issues.
Terrific recommendation. So if you're in the chats and you want to recommend some comic books, I will read them all on air. Right now we got Tevye Smolka recommending Supergirl and Amazing Spider-Man 25, and also Detective Comics. And Dave is saying Supergirl's better than Superman. I'll probably agree with that. Doc, what are you recommending this week?
Oh, I'm going a little bit back too. I mean, but not as far back as I was been going. Battle Chasers by Joe Mad. If you can probably pick up most of the single issues relatively cheap. It was only 9 issues. Hopefully we'll get a continuation of that. I know he's still promised that with the successful funding of the video game, the Battle Chasers video game. We're supposed to get issue, I think, 10 through 12 of Battle Chasers, but it is a great book. I'm not normally a sword and sorcery type, but it's fun, and it's Joe Mad doing very, very quintessential Joe Mad style art. So go pick it up. Go find it in the back issue bins.
Nice. All right, Pele, what are you recommending this week?
Okay, first thing I'm going to shoot out there is a graphic novel that came out that I've gotten and I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed. So far, I've very, very much enjoyed. And there's the Swamp Thing Roots of Terror deluxe edition hardcover. It's
That's
16. Yeah, it's actually really good. It's actually really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the artwork's absolutely gorgeous. Capullo artwork in it, fantastic. $18 for a hardcover graphic novel. It's pretty beefy too. So I'm gonna throw that one out there. The other one, Hawkman, number 14, still cranking it up. Still excellent read. I can't really recommend it enough. A lot of people at my shop really sick of me recommending it to them, but I keep pushing it because I don't want it to go away. I don't want them to cancel it. And it's kind of like it seems like it's kind of teetering on that edge almost every month now. Mm-hmm. And I want them to keep putting it out because it's probably the best book that DC is making right now. And from Marvel, X-Men #1 facsimile edition hit the shelves today. Hit the shelves this week, and it blew out of the store. I ordered 20 copies. All 20 of them are gone. Doc, you need to pick one up to go along with your, like a younger brother to go along with your original X-Men #1.
I have one sitting in my pull list. It's one of the last few books that I ordered.
It's beautiful, really, really well done. Nice cardstock, heavier cover, with beautiful printing. Has the original ads and everything from 1963 in it. So absolutely a must. $4. It gives you more than any other $4 you're going to spend on a comic, this month. So go ahead and pick one up and enjoy what Silver Age X-Men used to be.
I also ordered mine, but there's Giant Size X-Men is #1 is coming out in facsimile edition next week as well.
Absolutely.
So I've also got that one on order. So that should be pretty cool. In the chats, we've got where is it? Comic Quirks is saying Superman and Oblivion Song. Dark Admiral March Hare is recommending Midnight Mystery. Comic Quirks is also recommending Middle West, and then claims he was joking about Superman. I'm not so sure. If you're not following Comic Quirks, he's a great guy. He has a great channel, fantastic content. I believe it's daily. Last time I watched it, he was coming out all day, and he's a great guy. And then Mango Bed is recommending Gogurt. Dominic Powell, another great guy on Twitter, is recommending Wildstorm number 24, The Last Go-Go Power Rangers, Hawkman 14, Supergirl 32, Midnight Mystery, Birthright 37, and Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's Resurrection Man pre-New 52. And then Tweaksdirt is recommending Conan and Justice League Odyssey. For me, it's going to be Batman theme since you guys already took Hawkman and what was the other one? Criminal.
Sorry.
No, there's no problem. So this one right here, Batman White Knight. The sequel is coming out. I believe it's at the end of this month or next month. From Sean Gordon Murphy. It's going to be amazing. And then also Batman and the Outsiders number 3, one of the best series at DC Comics. If it keeps on its current trajectory, I'll say is probably going to be one of
the best Batman title shipping.
Absolutely.
Best Batman title shipping right now.
I will agree with that. And we also got Bats is recommending Spawn. He forgot about that one.
Oh gosh, yeah. March to 300 continues.
Oh wait, there's one book that's coming out next week that you might have forgotten about that I want to remind you. What is it? That's right. Walt Simonson's Ragnarok: Breaking of Helheim, another mini-series in his Ragnarok series that he writes and illustrates. Amazing. Of course, he's the one that did a lot of the Thor lore for Marvel. Basically fixed the title, if I remember correctly. So definitely be on the lookout for that book as well. So I think we're going to wrap it up, guys. Doc, where can people follow you?
Just on Twitter at Science Jesus. Yep, that's pretty much the only place to find me.
All right, he's hiding everywhere else.
Yep.
Breen, thank you so much for joining us. You were a worthy replacement for Tristan from Nerdist Newsstand. We had a scheduling conflict. You came in late notice. I think you were a great panelist. We're going to have you on the show again. Where can people find you?
Well, first, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I am on Twitter under Eric Sean Breen 1. Wasn't smart enough to come up with a clever name when I started my account. I also have a YouTube channel with 2 videos and almost 2 minutes of content.
That's right there.
Sounds like me.
And as I say, it's going to echo what you said about Quirks. If you're not sub to Quirks, sub to Quirks. I was trying to beat him to 50. He got there, so I might as well go back to promoting him. And again, thanks again for having me.
Awesome. All right. Last but not least, Pele, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at just_Pele, JUST_PELE. Also on Instagram, the same. Twitter tends to be a little bit political. I also talk comics, though, so it's kind of a mix of both. And Instagram is new acquisitions and talking comics and stuff like that, and tagging people, and and we have a lot of fun on both. So
awesome. Well, you can find me right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. You want to follow me on Twitter? It's at Wes_from_TC. And that'll be about it. Thank you all for joining us. Has a great time on the show. And Salamat Po. I'm out.
Later, y'all.
Take care, everyone.
Do.
There it is.
Stay in.